Hello and welcome. Savva here, Savva Talk Spurs, for some post-match reaction to Brighton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1, joined by the wonderful, refreshing-looking, beautiful man that is Kuva. Kuva, how are you? Did you enjoy that?
Oddly, yes. Not for us playing great football, but we did things well in some respects, and had to admire Brighton's passing as well. It was quite.
Yes.
There were bits to pick out of that game that were well worth it. So I
And you know what?
wasn't annoyed and irritated. It's the win, isn't it? That makes it all a lot easier.
We will pick the bones out of that. 1 second, I'm just sending the link to somebody. So bear with me 1 second. There it is. Okay. Right, we're good. So talk to me, Kuva. The team news came out. It was a 3-5-2. Fans have been crying out for it. I definitely have. Were you pleased when you saw that? Did you think it was the right thing to do? And did it pay dividends?
Oh, hell yeah. I was expecting us to go with a 3-4-3. I thought we were going to lose the game because of it.
Yeah.
So as soon as it came up with 3-5-2, yeah, all for it. Also, there was the doubt about Dyer playing, wasn't there? So despite not rating him particularly, he's still probably the best we got for that position at the club at the moment.
Correct.
So it made a big difference. There was a couple of boosts before the game.
Absolutely.
Doherty in, that wasn't a surprise for me. Perisic left out, though. I suppose that could be a fitness issue. We have got games coming thick and fast now, but Sessegnon came on, did okay, not particularly stunning with some of his decision making or the final product at times, but he did all right otherwise. I think Doherty, strangely, we looked for the attack, and his attacking was really rusty, but defensively he did some great things.
Yeah, I thought he did have some really good moments, to be fair. I always feel more comfortable with him there than Royal, but we'll go into the right wing back situation a bit later. First of all, there's 80 in here at the moment, so thank you very much for everyone who's joined. Go for an hour and a half, 2 hours max, because at some point I will need to get some dinner and stuff. But look, I will be putting the link up in the next 10 minutes, and if anyone wants to come on and have their say, feel free to. It was, I suppose, the thing for me, Kuva, is that we are not a good team to watch, right? I don't think that's bad to say that. And if you're not a good team to watch, it means you have to get the result. And today we did. I thought the players looked more organised. I'll be honest, with the 3-5-2, I'm not saying the football's free-flowing and brilliant, but I thought we looked more organised. I thought we had a lot more cover in central midfield. I thought Højbjerg and Bentancur looked better for having Basuma alongside them. And we ground out the win, right? We are really important 3 points.
I think we kind of started reverting the type after we took the lead. And then I think turning point for me, possibly Basuma getting his booking. Did that play on his mind a bit? And he was a little bit less aggressive because we started to go a little bit passive at that point.
Yeah.
I'd say it's one of the first times we've really seen the Italian stereotype way of playing, isn't it? Take the lead, protect it, no frills, just get the job done. From that respect, we're great. One person I've got to pick out, he's always takes criticism, although he played well for us last season. Left out of the team recently, but Ben Davies came in, had an excellent game, I thought. He was really good, stepping out of defence, using the ball. Great stuff. Starting to shape up at the back at times.
Yeah, I thought today, from an organisational defensive perspective, I thought the team looked a lot more composed. As I said to you off stream, I don't think there wasn't anyone that stood out for me, like in terms of going, oh my God, they were amazing. But as a unit, I just felt, I didn't feel in danger. Although Brighton had a lot of possession, they had some good chances. It wasn't like we were hanging on for dear life. It wasn't like it was chance after chance after chance. So from that point of view, we can't complain. The big question is, Kuva, how much of it is down to the 3-5-2? How much of it is not?
Hard to say, isn't it?
It is.
performance levels are up. Is that down purely to tactics? I can't believe so. We were a lot more aggressive and a lot more sort of energetic. No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Intense with our pressing today. For the first 25 minutes, I thought it set the tone for the beginning of the game. We took the lead. We were on top at that point, playing really pretty aggressive, direct at times, but it was effective stuff. We were getting a lot of attacks in. After that, it's like there was an off switch, wasn't there? It's we reverted back to what we've seen most of the matches this season. Yeah. But this time, professionally saw it out. Although you've got to still admit, Brighton did have a few chances that could easily have gone in. One where Hugo was completely flat-footed, and we're just praying that shot just went the other side of the post, which it did.
Well, the thing is, Cooper, I'm a big fan of Brighton in terms of, I think what they've done as a club has been really good on such a shoestring budget. I think they play nice football. And when people always say to me, oh, yeah, but they'll never finish above us. Of course they won't, because they simply don't have the firepower. And one of the things I said to Henry when we were just doing the live watch-along was, if Brighton's 8 players this way were joined with Kane, Son and Kulusevski, Brighton would be a top 4 team. But I think that is, I'm not taking away from our win. I thought we were very good, but they really did. My camera stopped again, hasn't it?
Only been a couple of seconds, it has.
No worries. All right. If you lose me, hang on 1 second. Don't know what's happening here. Yeah. And now there's, oh my good God. Do I look better like that? Do I?
No, I can still see your face.
But yeah, look, they did have a few chances. When we scored, we did sort of go back to defending, and it wasn't like we were attacking a lot in the first place. But what I did feel from the first minute, Coover, that was different today, it felt like from the first whistle, the intensity was better. It felt like we were winning second balls in the midfield. It felt like we were pressing. That, for me, was down to the 3 men in midfield, because I noticed Bentancur and Højbjerg pressing higher than if they're in a 2 and have to be more disciplined. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we had the big discussion going, didn't we, about 3-4-3 or 3-5-2. And I was saying, you can do this sort of thing in a 3-4-3, but the players are effectively playing that then as if it was a 3-5-2. You'd need one of the forwards to drop and be quite involved in the build-up and taking up the midfield positions. But, I think the introduction of Bissouma was key to everything. It was infectious, if you like. The Bentancur and Højbjerg look a different animal with him playing next to them. Bit more freedom, bit less workload on them. Yeah, it was working. And when we did have our backs against the wall for about, well, let's face it, it's about 65-70% of the game. Brighton, it was all about Brighton. We had a couple of breakaways at that point, but we were holding firm. No doubt about it. It was working out well. That extra man there's made a difference.
I truly
depends who it is, doesn't it?
Of course. I mean, I said to Henry and all the people on the last show was, imagine in the window we'd actually gone and got 2 proper wing backs, a technician for the midfield like a Milenkovic, Savic, and Eriksson type to play in that 3, and a top left centre back. I don't think we would have been a million miles away from challenging, but it just shows. It does show today, the lineup for me, the fact that there was only one player that we signed in the summer, it did show that we don't have a lot of options in that team, do we? We don't have a lot to mix it up.
Yeah, I'd say if you're doing score rankings out of 10 for the match and all the players, I'd say everybody was sort of a 7 or an 8 today, bar the 2 wing backs, who I thought were probably 6 out of 10, because they were doing some things great. And when it came to the forward play, it wasn't working out. Doherty, I can't blame too much. He's been incredibly. He's hardly had any kicks. Well, you could say the same for Sessegnon. He hasn't had much of a kick this season either.
No,
but they were poor going forward, by and large. But the rest of it was working out, as you said. As we discussed at the beginning of the season, if you're going to play Conte's system, you're going to buy for him. I wanted us to go out and get 4 quality wing backs. do what Man City did when Pep took over.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're not going to go splurging 200 million or something, but we could have got in 4 really good footballing wing backs in. Wouldn't have all these problems. Wouldn't have these horror shows at times, and be plenty of rotation and options available. But we won.
Yeah,
that is the main thing. It's a lot easier to talk about the team when we win.
It really, really is. I mean, let me welcome to the show, Hassan. What did you want to say, my man? What did you think of today?
Yeah, I thought, echoing what you guys were saying, I think when we started with the 3-5-2 for the first 25, 30 minutes in that first half, I thought we were really good. I thought, we controlled the ball. We actually had more possession than them for that period. We won the second ball, and I think having Basuma in there really helped. And I think when you switched to the 3-4-3 in that second half, it did, revert back to type where we were sort of just sitting back and hoping to spring on the counter. Where I thought in the 3-5-2, we were allowed to press a little bit, and we actually won the ball high up the field in a few instances.
Yeah.
For me, one little thing, I could be wrong. I'm not a coach or anything, but I feel like Basuma isn't best suited to be a CDM. I don't think his best position in that midfield is to be the one that sits back. I think he's a lot better going forward. I think he's a bit rash sometimes, and as a CDM, you don't want to have that. I think Højbjerg would be a lot better as that CDM role, and have Bentancur, who I thought looked a lot more comfortable going forward, and Basuma, because that's what he was good at doing at Brighton, was progressing the ball forward. But for me, look, like everyone's saying, we won. We got the 3 points, and at the end of the day, that's what matters. So we grind out a win. Yeah, I'm happy for Conte. I'm sure it meant a lot to him. I saw him celebrating at the end to get that out. So I can't complain too much, can we?
No, absolutely. Look, and as I said in the previous stream, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. I am very vocal when Conte does things I don't like, but I then need to be vocal and say fair play, because what he did today was what I personally, I'm not saying everyone, but I've been calling out for it. I know other fans have been calling out for the kind of 3-5-2. Hassan, for me, it just felt that having the 3 in the middle. I mean, we can talk about who was sitting, who was going, but it did feel like it allowed us to go and press a bit more. Yeah. It felt like I hadn't seen Højbjerg and Bentancur push that high to stop defenders bringing the ball out. And for me, it's those things that make the 3-5-2 better, rather than thinking 3-5-2 is going to be free-flowing football.
Yeah,
we know it's not. Do you agree with that? Do you think the 3 in there is the way to go now in some games? I'm not saying all games, but against teams that play football like Brighton, like Man City, like Arsenal, is that the way to play?
Yeah, you have to suffocate them as much as you can. We won the ball quite a few times, I thought, in our attacking third, in their defensive third, and I think that really helped us create a few chances. And when you're in the 3-4-3, you just can't do that, because if your midfielders press up, there's just a huge gap in the middle. And with Basuma there, he was at least, a body in the midfield to take that. So I think, going forward, if we're playing against teams that like to play football, 3-5-2 is the way to go. I expect when we play Frankfurt in a few days, we'll go back to a 3-4-3. I don't think he'll start the 3-5-2 against Frankfurt, because from what I saw against when we played away, they weren't really that kind of pressing team. It was sort of similar style. So I expect him to go to 3-4-3 for that game. But against
they're a counter-attacking team like us, right?
Exactly. So he's not going to go 3-5-2.
Absolutely. Kuva, in terms of how important was that win from the point of view? I know every win's important, but from the point of view that we hadn't been on a good run, and then we've now got 2 home games to follow that up with Frankfurt and Everton. Has that come just at the right time to allow us now to go on a bit of a run?
Yeah, it's always good to break the habit of going without wins, isn't it? So I think you've got to look at the manner in which we did it. I'd argue we did deserve that win. Brighton had more of the ball, more possession, had more shots as well. Let's face it, that's got to be a fact. I haven't looked at the stats actually, but you could tell they were camped in our half for ages. But it was all stuff we were generally dealing with, bar 1 or 2. So you've got to take some serious belief from that game, saying that if we are going to play in this defensive way and we are going to hold out and grind some results out, you've got to do it well, and we did it well.
Yeah.
So, I think that the fact that it's the players all playing to the manager's plan, executing it perfectly, that makes for a happy squad and a happy manager. That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Stefan, I'll come to you in a second. So thanks for joining the panel. Just quickly, Kuva. So I'm looking at the stats, and again, this will be different from whichever app you look at. Right, it's always going to be skewed, but 59% to 41. So nothing's changed there. But goal attempts 14 to 8 to Brighton. Shots on goal 4-3 to them. What I did notice today was our passes was much better in terms of we had nearly 500 completed passes. And in some of the other games, we've had like 350. So, look, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, my God, 3-5-2, it's amazing. It changes everything. But it has brought us, for me, our best win of the season. I think that's the best team we've beaten so far this season. Would you agree with that, Kuva?
Best win? Yeah, I think it has to be. Brighton are a good side, without doubt. If, like you were saying earlier, if they had a couple of decent forwards in there, they'd really be something. They could really push for something top 6 finishes and stuff. But we were just very, very professional today. There's a lot of confidence to be built from that one. Football, no, it's not free flowing. Of course, it isn't. We're not going to get that. It's contact.
Yeah.
Let's just appreciate it for what it was. I think players coming in, we had a bit of worry about. Doherty's been off form when he has come in on long injury layoffs. We were worried about what he was going to do. I thought he had a really solid game. Not so much going forward, but he did the defensive side, which is what we needed, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think get a bit of confidence from that because saw the game out. The amount of times where we're at panic stations doing it, and I didn't really feel like that today.
I didn't either.
You saw the amount of bodies were getting back there, and they're all doing the job well, getting the foot in where it mattered. Mm-hmm. Couple of great tackles, bits of reading the game. Doherty in particular, with a couple of memorable times he did came in nicking the ball off somebody's toes or key header when needed. They all played their part. Even Dyer, he was looking solid at the back, in the air especially. Well done. Got to say that.
Absolutely. Stefan, welcome to the show. I think it's your first time on, if I'm not wrong.
Hey guys.
What did you want to say, Stefan? What did you make of that?
Before I actually wanted to actually start, I just want to say this is coming from a bit of a different perspective. I'm a big fan of your show. I'm actually an Arsenal fan, but the Arsenal shows, like in terms of, I watch your show quite regularly. It was like just at random. I was just seeing just some football opinions, and I just thought you were very objective when it comes to Spurs, to Arsenal, to all the other teams. So I just want to say good on you for that, because on YouTube you rarely find that.
Cheers, thank you.
But if you ask me,
I'll send you some money later for saying that. Thank you. It's like a page to come on.
No, it's true. But if you ask me about the game personally, I thought Spurs played, I would say, probably their best away game of the season. Mm-hmm. I agree with some of the viewers. I thought defensively you were good. I thought in the middle of the park, especially in the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes, up until the goal, you were playing with, I kind of like in the game against Frankfurt, you pressed much higher than usual, than I've seen you compared to, let's say, against us or against West Ham away. So that was good. But I just honestly, from a different perspective, I just don't think this is sustainable, guys, because there's gonna be a situation where, let's say, the other team will score first. Your whole plan hinges on the fact that you always score first. If you don't score first, it becomes, for me, an issue. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Arteta's first season, when he first joined Arsenal, where we didn't have the players and where he would play pretty much counter-attacking football. And if the other team scored first, we were done. We just could not. We didn't have then the creative players or just the actual players in terms of to score. But on another note, I thought Spurs played well. I thought Romero was good. To be honest, I'm not getting this vibe, but I thought Son was awful. I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought maybe you can say I'm an Arsenal fan, but he was awful today. He was the worst player on the pitch.
We're going to talk about individual players in a minute, and as always within this fan base, the Son conversation is a difficult one to approach because if you say anything, it's
okay. I can hear Will Stewart sharpening up the machete right now.
Yeah.
But don't worry, I already had that out earlier in the week on him on Twitter about that, so it's fine.
Yeah. But look, we'll come to individuals in a minute. Welcome, mate. How are you? You all right?
I mean, I wouldn't say I was convincing, but I'm just relieved we won the game in the end, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the things that sits with me is what Hoover said is we're not going to get free-flowing football. You know that. You know that being a fan now from Conte. And look, whilst I can sit here all day long and I will never change my opinion on it, that I can't stand the way we play, all I ask is if we do play like that it does produce a win, right? It's okay if you win the game. It's when you play like that and lose that you say, well, we didn't give it a go. So we know that, right, but is it sustainable? We're now 9 games in, right? We're 3 points off of City. Are we 3 points off of City? 1 point behind Arsenal. Is it sustainable? Can this keep us up there? This type of football?
Probably not. I have a different perspective on this. So when we take the lead, I know you mentioned that if we take the lead, we're in better position. But we tend to do this thing where we just drop off. Instead of trying to kill the game, we'll just drop off. And then for like 60 minutes, we just pressure. Thankfully, today, we didn't concede a goal because, as Kuba said, the Brighton attack isn't that prolific. So, we didn't concede. But it's more just like the way the game plan is a bit like, I don't know, it's suspect. As in, it's okay. I'm happy for us to take the lead in any way possible. Like, it could be deflection, it could be like, anything. But it's just like we're just not. Maybe it's partly because Son's not playing well as well, and Kane. I know he's scoring, but his all-round play hasn't been great. Maybe that's the reason why. But we're just not killing games off, and eventually one team's gonna take points off us because we'll just sit back and then we'll end up conceding like 2 or 3 goals, like we did against Lisbon.
Yeah. Just quickly, how long before Savva reckons it's Levy's fault we only won 1-0? What a comment that is. As always, Enoch and Levy out. Get out. Thanks, HR. This
Levy
guy
abuses
me. He abuses me in my YouTube all day long. Just get you. When you get so much abuse, you just get used to it. That's this guy.
You miss it if it's not happening.
Yeah, if it's not there, I know I'm doing something wrong, right?
What happened to the Savva Talks accounts? Are they gone now? I guess.
Yeah, there was Savva Talks mums, Savva Talks Arsenal, Savva Talks.
I was like, what the hell?
There was loads of them, weren't there? Kuba, back to today's game. Let's look at some of the individual performances. So let's start with. I thought Hugo had a very good game today. What did you make of him, especially after bouncing back from the Arsenal game with 2 clean sheets in a row, 2 away games?
Yeah, I think he was really bright, alert, snuffed at any danger when it got near to him. A couple of key saves when needed. He was really quick off his line again, whether it was catching the ball or doing the sweeper keeper bit on the edge of the box.
There you go.
Pretty faultless display from him, really, wasn't it? Even his kicking seemed reasonable. It wasn't going straight out into touch like normal. Yeah, it's never going to be great, but he did all right today. I thought it was a very, very solid performance. You wouldn't have noticed any difference from today to like Hugo in his prime, say 5 years ago or something.
I mean, let's look at just before I come over to Stefan. I mean, the back five. If we're calling it a back five, back three, if we're including the wing backs, what did you make of that today, Kuva? Some solid performances in there.
Yeah, you got to start with the three in the middle. Bar that one sort of rash thing from Romero at the end there, he gave away that silly free kick. That pretty much gave him the free corner, didn't it? Apart from that, they were just rock solid, always in the right place. Yeah. Brighton trying to play through them, there was always somebody there. When there wasn't somebody there, the wing backs nipped in, took it away from the attack and snuffed it out. Usually you see Højbjerg having to drift back into the back line so often to clear up some sloppy play, and he didn't have to do that today. Everybody was like on point. So as a unit, they're spot on. Limiting Brighton to some chances, but I mean, everybody's going to get some chances, even if you play ultra defensive. The team's going to get an occasional shot in. So when we needed the little bit of luck, it did go our way. So I think there's something to say about limiting the chances and then riding your luck out. If you do it well, you get what you deserve. I think we did deserve the win.
Yeah. I mean, look, I just said to Henry that I think if it had been a draw, I don't think we could have complained because of the chances they had, and had they had a better finisher. But look, at the end of the day, we can't control that, right? All we can control is that we didn't concede. I thought we defended set pieces very well. I think I can only really remember one dunk header that came close. But other than that, I thought we actually defended well as a unit. I thought the three in front of them protected very well. I mean, Stefan, let me ask you, you're an Arsenal fan, so let's get your perspective. Your team is playing some lovely football this year. How would you feel as a fan if your team played the way Spurs do, but were still picking up results?
Well, like, I know it's going to sound biased, but me and my brother, we always had this argument after Wenger left, like, because my brother really wanted Diego Simeone from Atletico.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with Arsenal during the Invincibles period and even after that, because we always played great football. We always had very technical players. I think the important thing here is context. Like, if he plays the shit football, because let's be honest, it's not good football, but you win something, I think it will be worth it for Spurs fans. I really would. Like, because I remember when Wenger won the FA Cup in 2014, we hadn't won a cup in 10 years. Honestly, I didn't care then how I just wanted us to win something because it was ages for Arsenal. So for me, honestly, to be honest, I'm in two minds, because the football really is, honestly, I don't see, apart from maybe a little bit more structure when it comes to going forward with Spurs, I don't see what's the difference between Spurs under Antonio Conte right now and Spurs under Mourinho. I know you're gonna say I'm an Arsenal fan, but I really don't see, because it's one goal and then you put 8 men behind the ball, 9 men behind. I remember I was watching a match of the day and they showed the first goal, the Thomas Partey goal. You had 8 men in the box. So I don't know if I could accept it, but then again, I mean, that's for us, for Arsenal, we played horrible football for 2 years under Mikel Arteta. So it depends. It really does. But for Spurs, if it wins you something, I personally think it's worth it. I don't know what you guys think.
Well, let's ask then. Obviously the big thing that always gets leveled, and like Stefan said, whenever a fan like me says, I just can't stand this football, you get, well, if you win something playing this way, you can't complain. Easier said than done, right? Because, we're miles away from
Tottenham as well.
So. Can we win something playing like this? And will playing like this get us over the line in big big games. Like, i.e., if we played like that against Man City in a final, is that going to get us over the line?
Two things. One, it can, because I mean, won the League Cup under Ramos, playing that sort of way-ish. Two, it can't, because if you want to play this system, you need specialized players in each position, right? And thankfully today Doherty played, and for me, he's our most specialized right wing back, an experienced right wing back. So it worked better, I thought. Like, if he's going to just stick back Emerson, as soon as Emerson comes back, we'll have the same problems, personally, I think. Like, in a Conte system, or a system which isn't like a 4-2-3-1, where I think the three behind are more versatile or malleable, like you can play different kinds of players there. With a wing-back system, you need a specialized wing-back for each side, right? They need to be of high quality, especially if you want to win something.
I just wanted to add, but the problem is that this type of system, and when you come up against better teams, like you did, I would say Arsenal right now are probably are one of the best teams currently in the Prem at the moment in terms of form. When you come up against better quality players and you give them that much space and time, like you did against us, against Brighton, it might not be the end of the world. He won't score, or whoever plays for Brighton. But against better teams, against the Man City, against the Chelsea, against an Arsenal, they will score if you give them that much space and time.
But also, Spurs defense would need like a massive quality upgrade, especially with someone like Dyer, who's like meant to be like the linchpin of the back three, right? If you compare it to someone like Mourinho's sides back in the day, he played this defensive football. It wasn't maybe the same formation, but he was still grinding out results and winning games, and people weren't complaining because he just play on the counter and they'll win the game.
Yeah, I was complaining.
You were.
Yeah,
even Josie under Chelsea.
I'm a purist in that sense. I can't stand sacrificing good football.
Yeah, I'm the same.
You. I mean, like, I'm happy with us winning anyway. Like, even if it's like 2 deflected goals,
I just
get the trophy. It doesn't matter to me.
I just want to ask you guys, when you were top of the league, I think it was in December even. Under Mourinho, were you guys happy then with the way you were top?
It's nice to be top, but it doesn't mean you enjoy watching it.
No, I'm just intrigued. Were you guys as Spurs fans? Were you like, okay, this is we're first. We should get behind this, or you were like, nah, this is shit football.
Well, I think the difficulty with this, Stefan, is I don't think at that time it really mattered that we were top. The narrative was that most people hated Jose Mourinho. I honestly feel we could have won a league with Jose Mourinho, and fans would still not have liked him. I just want to come to this quickly. Just before I do, look, there's 185 of you in the chat, so thank you very much. But there are 185 of you and only 54 likes. So come on, please smash that like button. And remember, if you want to definitely get your comment read out, there is a super chat function, and the money does go to charity, to the British Heart Foundation. So feel free to put those in. Kuva, again, this is what you get all the time, right? So it's a good question from John North saying, would Spurs fans take 1-0 ground out wins to playing great football, maybe drawing or losing? Now, I never understand this, Kuva. I never understand why there's this notion that if you play good football, it means you've got more chance of losing and drawing. I don't get that, right? So for me, the either or, it's the equivalent of when fans say, well, would you rather win a League Cup or qualify for the Champions League? It's like, well, why do I have to choose? Why can't we finish fourth and win the league? Do you know what I mean? So what do you say to this comment, Kuva?
I don't get the comment either. It's here, and as you said, hear it all the time from people. Then you also hear the argument of, well, playing with style and flair never won us anything. So it's time for a change. Yeah. Well, playing with flair and style was the only times we've ever won anything on a consistent basis. Super Spurs of the 60s and the 1980s team. That we were winning a lot of trophies back there, playing great football. So why we suddenly have to do this U-turn and playing great football means you can't win anything. I don't know. Then people say it's Manchester City because they've got all that money, they could do it. Look at them lot noisy neighbours down the road. They did it under Wenger, didn't they? They're playing great football when they won the double.
No, Kuva, sorry to interrupt. We also played shit football under George Graham, 1-0 to the Arsenal. That was the famous chant. We played awful football, but
I was more tolerant of your lot then, because at least you were boring.
Yeah, but if you speak to Arsenal fans, this is the thing I don't get about Spurs fans. I don't mean to be, but it's a bit of like you're always looking for. Arsenal fans are also very reactionary, but you want to play great football, but then with Poch you didn't win anything. So then you say, okay, but we played great football under Poch, but we didn't win anything. Now with Conte, who's someone who has won stuff, and with Mourinho, you could win something, but we're playing bad football. Like this is the Spurs fans. They just consistently, for me, they don't know what they want. I think if you could win cups with great football, great. But like for me, I never understood. You've never fully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the thing for me. Did we not? So if we're looking at this argument of we played great football under Poch, but didn't win anything. Is the reason we didn't win anything because it was great football? This is my argument when I have with my mates. I don't think we didn't win anything because we were playing good football. I just think that we struggled to get over the line, right? In the big, massive games. I don't believe playing this way gives you more chance to get over the line in big, massive games. Because if we're talking, yes, we beat Man City twice in the league last year, and it's what Spurs fans cling on to. But look, when we played Man City in the League Cup in the final, in that big game, and they played us off the park, right? When I look at all the teams that have won things recently, you look around, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Liverpool, Man City, none of these teams play bad football. None, forget Liverpool this year, but in the years they've done well, none of these teams are bad to watch, right? So this whole narrative from certain fans, I'm not saying you, Stefan, but this narrative that comes from fans that you can't win playing good football, it's just not right when you look at the teams that do win.
No, Savva, I completely agree with you. The reason why I think Spurs fans, and I don't understand how there could be anybody within the Spurs community that is Levy in and that is pro Levy, is because that period of time, if you do an analysis on the Poch era when you guys were good, when 2016, 2017, 2017 and 2018, when you just needed a few more players, and not only that, the most important thing is all of your rivals were crap. Arsenal were crap. Man City were just starting with Pep, so they weren't as good. Liverpool were just starting with Klopp. That was the perfect opportunity for you to win the league. If you had signed 2 or 3, and Levy ruined everything. Poch could have won. So I don't blame that period that Poch didn't win anything on the fact that it was attacking football. I blame it on the fact that Levy didn't invest at that moment.
Of course.
And as a result, you just didn't have the actual depth to win. Yes, there were some games where Poch tactically, I still remember the FA Cup semi-final where he played Son, I think, left wing back,
yeah.
Oh my! I don't know what he did there, but yeah. So
look, you're 100% right. I mean, look, what I will say is there's comments that go in the chat. There's certain people making comments that they're making sweeping generalizations that don't fit for everybody, right? We're all different, right? So when I see things like this, it's not about style, it's about performance level. For you, maybe, and I'm not saying you're wrong, King of the Indies. I'm not saying you're wrong. For you, that may be true. I think more, and I'll drag Kuva into my argument here. He'll tell me quickly if I'm wrong. I think more for people like me and Kuva, I want to be entertained, right? I'm charged a lot of money to go and watch Tottenham play. We invest a lot of time and effort and energy into Tottenham. I don't think it's too much to ask to want to see some good football. And then it's a results game. All that matters is the 3 points. As I said to Henry yesterday, I'll be really, really honest. If Spurs won a league playing like this or won a cup playing like this, the whole enjoy the journey, not the destination, I would flip that on its head completely. I'd enjoy the destination, but it would have been a real bumpy journey. It would have been like, I said to him, it would be like going on holiday to the Maldives, but the 10-hour flight, you're nearly dying. There's turbulence, awful, bags are falling everywhere, but you get there and go, "Whoa, we landed!" Right? Is that right, Kuva, for you? What people are saying, it's purely about results.
Spectator sport, isn't it? Give the spectators a spectacle. You're supposed to entertain. I mean, I don't want to watch crap like this. If we're going to play really rubbish football for a considerable amount of time, even if we're top of the league, I will find something better to do with my time than watch it. I'll have a glance at us online, check what the result is. I'll be happy to see us there. I don't want to spend 2 hours of my time watching a grinding game of football.
Kuva, if you're top of the league in April, you wouldn't watch it, really?
I'll be happy we're there. If we're playing games where we only have a one shot on target and we're winning, we'll buy it. I want to see football, man. I need to be excited. I've got to have a buzz out of it. I've got to have both. I don't care. I'm never ever going to back down from that. Going to play with style, flair, finish with a flourish, and beat the hell out of the opposition. I can't stand just grinding.
Who said that again, Kuva? Who was it?
Style, flair, and
it's a Spurs quote. Sorry, I'm trying to remember.
Oh yeah, echoes of glory as well in there.
Yeah.
There's one. Look at the comment. Savva talks to strangers on the bus.
Oh, right, okay, there's a new one. Okay.
Brilliant, good account. Would it be fair to say, guys, look, I agree in certain games when you're playing teams that are better than you at football, when you are playing teams where they have more quality than you, I don't mind the grinding out a result, right? Because I think all the top teams do it. I think where my issue comes is where we play like that against teams that we shouldn't be sitting back against. Like when we're playing a promoted Nottingham Forest with 22 new players and we go there and for the first half, it was like, oh my God, are we going to touch the football, right? When we play Fulham, when we play Wolves, when we play all these teams that are in the bottom half, that's where I don't condone this type of football. If we have to shit house our way to a Man City win, cool, because you don't go toe-to-toe with Man City, right? Would that be fair to say, Haz?
Well, I can see your argument because I'm going to carry on agree or disagree. I don't know if this is agree. I'm agreeing to it or disagreeing to it, but I think there's more than one way to win a football match. So when people say this style is correct or this style is not, saying, oh, we should play this attacking football all the time, that's the style it takes to win. For a team like Man City, it does because they have De Bruyne, Haaland, Bernardo Silva. I could list off a load of names, right? So they have players to control the game and to win games in that manner, right? We don't have those kind of players. We don't have an Eriksen. We didn't replace him. We don't have any sort of playmaker or a dictator in the match. So we can't play. For me, we can't play this possession-based game. It just doesn't work. Today, we were more possession-based, and we just had people would argue we have a bit more control of the game, but I still didn't feel like, oh, we were like the dominant team, really. I felt it was more like 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, look, they certainly
there's not one way to win a game. Like, there's not one style of football. Like, I think King of the Indy said something about that.
Look,
no, it was a really good away win. Like, if I win 1-0 at Brighton as an Arsenal fan, I would be happy. Like, for me, it's harsh to say, yeah, okay, you have to dominate. Very few teams dominate Brighton, especially Brighton away. So I think it's still a very good win, but it's just, is this sustainable? Because I know you beat Leicester 6-2, but that first half, Leicester outplayed you. Like Leicester could have led at if Maddison had put that chance away right before halftime, they would have gone in 3-2. Would you have won? Probably, because Leicester defensively are awful. But honestly, I remember back in the day with Spurs reminds me at the moment of Arsenal's last years with Wenger, where we had soft players that were our leaders, such as Ozil, and we didn't have enough depth to actually challenge for the league. But fans and Arsenal fans expected every season for us this to be our season when we would only sign Petr Cech as their sign. So for me, Spurs, but also at the same time, Spurs retain some of the players of those failed years. Eric Dyer, for example, is still at the club. Ryan,
you mean like
and
the bad
Eric
way,
Dyer,
right? Not a good way.
And Eric Dyer didn't even start when you were good, from what I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong.
This is the thing a lot of fans have said, especially in the last 3 or 4 years. I know it's changing now that we're starting to get more players in from Paratici, but it was that from that very good team under Poch, Davis was a backup. Dyer was a backup. Sanchez was a backup. Sessegnon didn't get in and it was kind of like they've now become first team regulars, and that's fine. But I think the key thing for me is that there were a few key components of the way we played under Poch that made us tick. And that was in terms of the two centre halves were fantastic together. That was a wonderful partnership. And never did anyone ever go, oh, who would you play at centre half? It was Vertonghen out of IRL done, right? Then the midfield area was the key, right? With Dembele and Eriksen. One could control the game. The other one was that creative force. Now, I get it. Conte doesn't play that way. But the way he does play, you've got to give him the tools. Today, how different would it have been? I didn't think Sessegnon and Doherty were bad today. I thought they were okay. But imagine now that was two top wing backs flying up Brighton, right? Exactly. Two top wing backs. You win the game 2-3-0, right? And that's the thing for me. I've said I can stomach this football if you give the man the tools so it's clinical and effective. I can't stomach this football when it's like this, when it's very patchy. Great win today, but then the 3 or 4 games before that, it's really poor to watch. So look, Kuva, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? What football you like. And some fans don't care. Some fans just want to win however. But my question to you is, Kuva, for all those that say, well, if playing like this wins us a trophy, what if playing like this doesn't win us a trophy at the end of the season?
Exactly. Didn't work out with Mourinho, did it?
Right.
Didn't work out with Nuno.
Right.
What was Nuno trying to play, though? I had no idea.
Just bad. Just bad.
No, I had no idea what style it was.
But here's the thing.
Play Levy, I think.
Yeah. Here's the thing, which I don't think Spurs fans, I don't mean to, but to play in Conte's system, especially the midfield, because you point to the midfield, Bentancur and Højbjerg are solid, but they're not, let's be honest, Premier League winning midfielders. They're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Agree.
But here's the problem. To find a midfielder or 2 midfielders that can play in a 2 against most teams that play in a 3 that can dominate that midfield, right now I can only think of maybe 4 or 5 players, and they are completely, no offense to Spurs, out of reach. And they're most of them are out of reach to us too, to Arsenal. I can think of Declan Rice. I can think of Jude Bellingham. I can think of another few midfielders. And I think Spurs fans have this expectation that Conte will kind of push through. Conte isn't on the pitch. He's not going to turn Bentancur into Clarence Seedorf in a year. He just won't. Bentancur is a good player. He will have a good game. Against Man City, he'll play well. He's tough and stuff, but he's not going to win you the league. And I think even with wingbacks, guys, a right wingback, I can't think of one at the moment, one world-class right wingback, apart from Hakimi, who, let's be honest, is not going to leave PSG. Mm-hmm. So I think the expectation is to kind of, because you have Conte, you're going to sign big players. It doesn't happen like this. It's much harder to attract big players. Chelsea, for example, are they're changing now their recruitment too, but Chelsea have had this struggle for years where they would sign players for a certain manager, that manager would leave, and then it would be a complete mess after that. Yeah. And I think Spurs and Levy, instead of doing a full rebuild like Arsenal did, which was a painful 3 years where we looked awful, nobody saw it at first, but our manager got backed, and his style, and we, not only that, we recruited really well. Some of the signings for 15-20 million. Tomiyasu he's brilliant. If you want. So that's the thing. The thing that makes me be realistic with Spurs is, and I don't believe that you guys can have the same, is your recruitment has been awful. The last few years, let's be honest, apart from Romero and maybe Bent and Kulusevski's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from those two signings, Bentancur is good too. Okay, it's been awful. Emerson Royale, I remember Arsenal were interested in him. Thank God we signed Tomiyasu. Thank God, because he's really bad.
No, I mean, look, I think one of the key things is it's always difficult, right? Because football's ever evolving, right? And there's always that argument that if you bring in the players that only suit one manager, what happens when that manager leaves, if the new manager wants to play a different philosophy, etc. But this falls into that category, doesn't it, guys, of it is what it is. If you are going to bring in Antonio Conte at 20 million or 50, whatever he's paid a year, we can't not back him with the players he needs because we're worried about who the next manager might be, right? I'm not saying there's a million wing backs out there, but I think in the summer, we did these shows a number of times where we listed wing backs that were available and other clubs. And
it's like that you either have to choose Hakimi, or if you can't get him, well, in that case we've got to stick with Emerson Royale.
Right. That's the thing for me. Just quickly before we're going to talk about
true.
Emerson
That's
Royale.
true. I didn't mean Hakimi or nobody. But
not you.
It's a serious thing we have with our fans sometimes, mate.
Yeah.
Just quickly, guys. Just quickly, Phil P, thank you very much for the super chat. Tonight was for Ventrone, RIP coach. Yeah, absolutely RIP. And I think, the players at the end had their shirts with his name on, and it was clearly for him. So thank you for the super chat. That money does go to charity. So if anyone does want to put in a super chat, you are donating to charity and RIP. What I would say, let's move on to that subject then with Emerson Royal and right wing backs. When Emerson Royal's ban is over, does he come straight back in the team? Because I don't know about you guys, and I'm not saying Doherty is amazing, right? But I just felt a lot calmer with Doherty there than I ever do with Royal, just in terms of cleaning up in the box, last-ditch tackles, position-wise. I thought that Doherty, he knows that position.
I'm going to do an R, yeah. You said cleaning up in the box.
Cleaning up in the box. Yeah,
Salah, you could argue, and you could feasibly argue that Doherty as a defensive wing-back is worse than Royale. At least has got a bit physicality. He's kind of good in the air.
I don't know about that.
He's still awful, don't get me wrong.
I don't know, mate.
You haven't seen Emerson play every week, so I don't know about that.
I mean, at times I remember watching him. I think it was under Mourinho and Nuno. Like, I honestly thought he was playing for Spurs as an Arsenal fan. He was wanting you guys to lose. He was that bad. So,
Doherty, you mean?
Yeah, Doherty. He was so bad. Like, he's...
Yeah, I think that the thing is with Emerson Royal is it's becoming a bit of a... It's a thing now at the club, isn't it? There is a large portion of fans that, I mean, so many WhatsApp groups I'm in for Spurs, and all of them today, the first thing that was said when the team sheet was read out was, doesn't it just look much better without Royal's name on it? Right? And that may sound harsh, but I truly didn't have that dread that I have when I see Emerson Royal playing at right wing back. Kuva, moving forward, are you...
Well, he can't.
I mean, moving forward, is this now saying it's got to be Doherty? If he's not going to play Spence, surely it's got to be Doherty over Royal, right?
For me, yeah, without doubt. And I don't rate Doherty. He played well today, but
no, but this is what I mean. I just read a comment by someone who just put, "We don't need Declan Rice.
Yeah, I saw
we have Bentancur." Like, come on.
Yeah, but that's Spurs fans. If another club signs a player, it's like you watch. If Liverpool, they're rumored to be signing Milenkovic-Savic. If they sign Milenkovic-Savic, it will be he's not good enough. He will, right? If we sign him, we'll be doing a petition for him to win the Ballon d'Or. That's what our fans do. It's like
Jesus and Zinchenko as well, isn't it? If
I remember
great, big Arsenal sign them, all their rubbish over there.
Yeah, I remember
It's so
watching
true.
on
It's
Twitter
so true.
a few like there were like kind of not memes but like kind of little cameos of Tottenham fan shows, and like one guy was like, Richarlison is world class. He's 100 times better than Gabriel Jesus. Sessegnon is a better player than Zinchenko. I was like,
What
guys,
show is that? What show is that?
I think it was the main Spurs channel. Tottenham fan. The two brothers.
Oh, we are Tottenham
Really?
TV.
Yeah, we are
like
Tottenham
Brighton.
TV, but
Okay.
it was no. One of them is more kind of objective. The other one is much more. He's like Ty from AFT. He's not as bad, but the clips I saw, I think it was Simeon. His name is.
Oh, I'm surprised.
And he was like,
Richarlison.
Richarlison is 10 times better than not 10. I don't know, but he says he's much better than Gabriel Jesus. Jesus was a bench warmer at City, and I'm like, Jesus scored over 15 goals like 3 times in like
Stefan,
5 years.
This is our fan base. Look, we'll continue this chat in 1 second. First of all, big up to Gogama, always in the chat, always donating. Thank you so much. She said, big up Savva and Kuva. Happy for the win. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good weekend this weekend. It means that we don't have to have the conversation of, oh, well, we've now only won 1 in 5. Now we've won 2 in 5, which sounds a little bit better. Please
just going to say to that on sorry, Savva, go on.
No, so I was just going to say, please keep hitting the likes. There's 185 of you in here and only 75 likes. You just have to press a little button and it really does help. Kuva, I want to come to you on this right wing back situation. Why is he not giving Spence a game? Now, clearly he said that it wasn't his player, but Spence has now found himself as our 4th choice right wing back, and by that I mean he's shown that it's Royal, Doherty, and he'd still rather put Perisic at right wing back than give Spence a game.
You could even add in Lucas Moura.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well.
So what's going on that we don't even get to see 5 minutes of the guy in a game?
I think I know what it might be, but it's he's quite naive on the ball. Spence. I haven't seen him that much, but the times I have seen him for Forest, he's really exciting. He can take his man on, but he is prone to just doing the wrong thing, making the wrong decision, not reading the game too well. And I think that's possibly playing on Conte's mind, thinking he's going to make some big mistakes in games, and he can't quite trust him yet till he gets that out of his system. That may be a long-term problem, where it may just needs a little bit of time playing with the higher quality players on a regular basis and getting him into shape in training. Got the hope he irons out the flaws.
Yes, so I just want to say, because I watch the Serie A religiously. I'm actually also a big Inter Milan fan, and I think a lot of Spurs fans, because I know in the UK the Italian league isn't as watched and they don't know, it's all politics. That's the reason why he's not playing. In Italy, because they fire coaches much more regularly. I think Conte is doing it out of politics, because this is not his signing. It's obvious. He even said it. But also from another perspective, if you look at a lot of Spurs fans are questioning whether he will stay because he still hasn't signed a new deal. Obviously, it's still not signed. But the main reason is because he's waiting for January. And that's all politics. He's trying to generate power in his position, because if he signs a new deal now, Levy, knowing him, will not spend in January. And it's the same with Spence. He's trying to show, because I really do believe that Spence is a Levy signing. It's very Levy-like. It was like Joe Rodon was the same under Mourinho. And I think he's trying to show that I'm the boss here. You can make signings, but I'm not going to play them, even though Royale and Doherty are not good enough. And I really think that's the main reason. Not because I'm sure Spence is better. He is. He's better than Emerson, and I think he's better than Matt Doherty. But the reason I think is that he's just unlucky, and that Conte, this is all a power play for him.
Yeah,
that's
I have to agree with that completely, personally. Because
could well win. Sorry.
I mean, yeah. Okay. Let's move away from the right wing back situation. Let's talk about the forwards, because this always kick starts a bit of a fight, doesn't it? I'm just going to say it. Something does not look right with Heung-min Son. He got a cracking hat-trick in that cameo against Leicester. And I'm not digging him out, but something, guys, I can't put my finger on it, but it's just night and day from the player we saw last season. Kuva, let me start with you. Why is it, if you say anything about Son and underperforming, certain parts of our fan base lose their mind? And again today, I know the goal that was offside, the lovely finish, but his all-round play, he seems to give the ball away a hell of a lot when we are in attacking areas. Well, what do you make of it?
Difficult to put your finger on, isn't it? I did think it was down to Perisic almost taking his role up, but he wasn't even playing today. So it's not that. Is it just a little bit of a fall from grace from Sonny? He's coming from such a high bar that when he is underperforming, perhaps we exaggerate it. I mean, today I didn't think he was shockingly bad, but it's way below what we usually expect from him. In some ways, you could say it was a kind of a reverse of what you get from Sonny and Kane. Usually it's Kane dropping deep, supplies the killer ball, Sonny finishes it. This time it was the other way around. It was Sonny doing the providing and Kane doing the wicked little finish with a flicked header. Now it's Kane seems to be getting the goals, but not doing the link-up play. Sonny's learning to get a bit more involved in the link-up play, and the goals are gone, bar that one game. How you explain that, I don't know.
I want to say something once you're done. Sorry.
Just quickly, right? It's for me. Look, strikers and forwards, they go through dry patches with goals. That's life, right? No one scores every week unless your name's Erling Haaland, right? Or Lewandowski and Messi and Ronaldo's and all them boys. But for me, it's not that he's not scoring that is worrying me. It's just more like his first touch at the moment. It looks like every ball that goes into him bounces off. It's like he runs into defenders and you're thinking, just lay it off. And are we seeing a case of he's trying so hard to play himself into form that it's just not working?
Savva, just to say, I actually have a stat here. Today, he lost the ball 13 times.
Oh, wow.
13 times.
One free or 3-0?
Yeah. He lost the ball 13 times.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
So it's just for me, it's with Son, you could see he has quality because he scored that ridiculous goal, even though it was decided. You can see there's quality because he's just a world-class player. But I just think, honestly, if you guys ask me, I think Conte's system doesn't suit him. I think he gets really frustrated and he knows him and Kane have to be pretty much, because again today, if you read your XG, if you guys did a check, Brighton's XG today was 0.93. Spurs was, it depends which XG. I know there are different, sources, but the one I use, the XG philosophy on Twitter, it's got like almost 1 million followers. But Brighton's XG was 0.93. Yours today was 0.6. So I think it's the fact that he's anxious, that he knows that he's going to be fed scraps today. So every chance that he has, he needs to take. And I think it's a bit of anxiety. I personally, I think he's really frustrated. Personally.
I have different theory on this personally.
Go on, Haz. Just quickly, before you do that, Haz, just quickly, I don't get it. Like when people are saying, come on, Savva, Son's passing and hold up, link up play looked much better today. I don't think it did. I think if we take the goal aside, there were so many times where it goes into Son, and I never feel something's gonna. No, that's the wrong phrase. I just feel that it's always like a bit of a hot potato when he's got the ball. It just kind of feels like there's no calmness when he's got the ball. It always feels like it's a bit of a rush at the moment. Listen, I'm not suggesting you drop him, anything like that. It's just a complete different player from last year.
From last year.
I thought he did okay. It was just by his standards, it's really poor. That's a different story.
Yeah, I know, but this season he's been so poor, just in general for me. He's not been good at all.
Yeah, some games he's just been poor, full stop, hasn't he? But I thought he was okay today, uninspiring.
Yeah.
But for me today, I think, you talk about him holding on to the ball so long. It's almost like he's become very greedy. And Son last season would get the ball and quickly release it. And then he'd just carry on and get into a position higher up the pitch. Like, he's not playing, like you mentioned, as high up as he was before, right? He needs to be on the shoulder of the last man. And my second caveat as well is, because he spoke about the system. Sorry, is it Stefan? You spoke about the system, yes? Yeah. So these top players, if they're really top players, they need to be able to adapt to the system regardless, right? Son and Kane are meant to be our best players. So regardless of what formation, is it 3-4-3, 3-5-2, or whatever, these players just have to adapt to the system if they're so good. And another thing, I know Son got the assist, but it was definitely a shot. So I just want to say that.
Look, when I say these things as well, look, it's there to be talked about. And I'm just going to put it out there, guys. I don't think Kane's all-round play has been amazing.
No, he's been awful. It's been awful.
But the guy is still getting on the score sheet, and I think it's noticeable now for me that when Son isn't scoring goals, for me it really does show, the rest of his game. Is it up to scratch? And at the moment, it's not. But for me, what I find weird about it was I thought the whole point of signing another forward was that they didn't have to play every God-given minute of every game, and that they were going to get time to rest and recuperate. But it still looks very much, gentlemen, that it will just be Kane and Son, whatever happens every game of the season.
Yeah. Honestly, I know this is hard coming from an Arsenal fan, but I feel sorry for Kane. The guy has to play every single game.
Yep.
And he's already, I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just Gooner Hope, but he's already looking quite leggy, guys. Is it just me?
No, he does. I agree. He is looking leggy, but I think it's his selflessness to come back and try and be the creative guy that drops deep and gets the ball, rather than just being allowed to stay up front, save his legs, and have chances created for him. I think his selflessness is his own downfall. So he'll always score goals, but the goals are never really well-crafted goals for him, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but Savva, he's reminding me a little bit. Sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're good.
LeBron James transitioned in the same way. I'm sorry to change sports, but
no, you're right.
Basically, when LeBron James went over 30 years old, he was easily one of the best defenders in the league back then. And I'm seeing the same thing with Kane, in which Kane used to press under the pot system. They used to press extremely intensely. Now, I actually read a really interesting stat. Spurs have won the ball in the final third of the opposition the least out of any team. Yeah, you could say it's the system, because the system is a more deep block. But I put it because when you watch Kane, he barely presses. He barely. And I think in the same way that LeBron stopped playing defense in his later years so he could preserve his body, I think Kane is doing the same thing, because he knows if he continues to press, what was his weakness? His ankle. That ankle is going to go.
It's the other analogy for me would be like an aging prize fighter, wouldn't it? It's losing the speed a bit. Haven't got the hand speed anymore. Haven't got the fitness levels anymore. So you use your strength more, and that looks like what Kane does. He saves it for a little moment where he can out-muscle somebody, get himself a yard of space that way. I agree. He's not present in a lot of the high intensity pressing we used to do. That's gone. I don't think you can get that with Kane in the team.
No. Don't you guys think that if we're going to keep persistence, with Richarlison, Son, and Kane, Conte needs to change the formation and play Kane as a true number 10 behind both of them?
I just don't see him doing that. I mean, I think it's definitely worth a try. But as we've said, Kuva, a million times before, what we seem to want to or need to keep doing is putting square pegs in round holes, rather than going out and buying what is actually needed in the first place, right? For me, even over the last few years, if you look at Kane's numbers the last 2-3 years, they've not been as good as they were before, in terms of, he was getting 25-30 years ago, because you had Dele Alli creating, you had Ericsson creating. Now you've not got true creators in this team for him, and a lot of the creation is coming from himself. But like you said there, Spurs with that front three, Kulusevski's not blessed with pace. I'm not saying he's slow, but he's not blessed with pace. Son and Kane between them, are we going to be a team that closes down? As Stefan said in the final third, we're not. And that is why we've won the ball the least in the final third. And that's why our passes into the final third are the lowest in the league as well. Because we don't have those midfielders that look up and go, their first thought isn't forwards, is it?
Yeah.
Their first thought is, let's go to Royal or Perisic.
That's also why when Eric Dyer gets injured, I think he's one of the most overrated defenders in the league. I think if you put him in a 2, I've never seen a worse defender in a 2. He's awful. Like, I'm not, call me a gooner, I know. He is awful.
He is in a 2.
Don't worry, he's rubbish.
Yeah, he's, in my opinion, like, I think he's just awful. But if you take him out of the team because of the only good thing that he has is his progressive passing. Because he used to play in midfield, he's good at, he's better than Davinson Sanchez. Yeah, at that. So, and I think that's when Spurs really missed, and they really struggled to actually progress the ball to the front three once he's out. So, for me, the major difficulty with that is, again, this is another. It really reminds me of Arsenal, the way you guys sign players in terms of the wrong way, which is you're just signing players because they're big name, like Richarlison. He doesn't suit your system. He's a runner. He's very similar to, he's like a poor man's son. He's not a link-up guy. He doesn't help with the build-up play. He plays primarily on the counter-attack. So when you play him in a 3, especially on the right wing, he's not effective. And you could see that. And not only that, he loses the ball a lot, just like Son. So you have 2 of your wingers, if they play together, they lose the ball a ton. That's why, for me, Kulusevski, in terms of the attacking play in Spurs, is your most important player. I mean, of course, Kane. But for me, Kulusevski is the gel that makes everything click. He's the one that can stop the ball. He rarely loses it. He makes good decisions in the final third. And he's also, quite strong. He doesn't lose the ball as often.
And yet, when Conte was dropping one of the 3 to get Richarlison in, it was Kulusevski, which baffled me. Guys, I just want to get to a few questions that we've had, a few that I've just starred along the way, and then I want to talk about the league table a bit. So, Super Tommy Tuchel has said, "What do you lot expect from Conte this season?" Now, this is a really interesting conversation, right? Because what I might expect as a fan could be completely different to what someone else expects as a fan. So what I'll change up this question and say, if we finish 4th, has it been a good season for Conte? Has there been progress because we finished 4th last year? And do you expect more than 4th? There you go. I'll do that. Kuva, you go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, to what?
Too many things. Right. Conte would have expected to be pushing on from last season. So I don't think finishing 4th would be good enough. However, I don't think he's been given the enough of the right sort of players to really improve on that. I think we're going to be lagging behind City, Arsenal, and I think Chelsea will sustain a push for 3rd. Liverpool seem to have more of a problem. I think they're going to struggle. Man United aren't up to the job. I think we've got a fairly comfortable run to 4th. The trouble is that we should have had that last season. We made it a bit of a struggle. I don't think it's going to be a success finishing 4th, but I think it's going to be the bare minimum. And I don't think Conte's going to stick around, personally.
Okay.
I think he's going to see the writing on the wall, see that we are not going to be signing these players that he really wants. As we've said, so many of us saying before, wing backs, we just didn't address that issue. We got Perisic in. Well, there's another one that can't get in the team and another one that's not even at the club.
Yeah. But Kuva, aren't your targets the one that you wanted even this summer? For me, they're unrealistic. For example, your main defensive target was Bastoni, an Italian. Italians rarely come to the Premier League.
It doesn't matter. There's so many though. The like, look at Newcastle signing Botman. He would have easily got into our team. Great signing.
That's true.
There's loads of players like that around. Skriniar, we've been talking about for ages.
Yeah, Skriniar for 3 years now. You're
De Vrij,
you're gonna sign him.
Fullbacks like Mailer and Hatterboer at Atlanta, we could have got them. They don't break the bank. Would have been a lot better than what we've got. We just don't do it.
Let me just start. Cam, welcome to the show.
Hi, Savva. Hi.
Hello, mate. What do you reckon? What's a good season for Conte and Spurs? What would be the minimum for you that we've got to achieve?
I think for me it has to be like third, probably.
Third.
Yeah, because I don't really think the football we play is sustainable or is good enough personally, and I feel like we got rid of Mourinho to basically get the same thing again.
Okay, I mean that's a. Do you know what? It's always an interesting one, the Conte versus Jose conversation. If you can still hear me, I'll sort my camera out. Don't worry about that.
I was going to say.
Yeah, it's all right. The conversation is always an interesting one for me, Jose versus Conte, because I always feel that rather than looking at it with open eyes, we look at it with who we hated, right? I agree with you, Cam.
The thing with me is I personally predicted that it wouldn't go well. Like, I feel like the club recently, we've been trying to like have these pragmatic managers. I just personally don't think it works. I think football's evolved from that, personally.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, so let me ask you then, because one of the things that we always hear is this football is not sustainable under Conte. What do you mean by that? Because that means different things to different people. What do you mean when you say this isn't sustainable?
Well, I think one, the results will over time they'll get worse than it. But I also think that like within the fan base, like there'll be growing frustrations and people will start to get more annoyed and it'll become toxic, as well as the football and the results not improving. So I just think overall it's not a good way to run your club, personally.
Okay. Let me ask then, Haz, do you buy that? I mean, with the whole sustainable, I just want to look at the league table, right? So at the moment we're third, but more importantly than actually being third, for me, there's a bit of a gap starting to happen at the top there. So if you look from Brighton on 14 points up to Man City on 23, everyone else then is back then on 12s and 11s and 10s. So haven't we put ourselves in a position now where we can almost afford to win one, draw one, lose one, and get top four? I know it's early season, but is that sustainable? Can we do that?
For me, top four is almost guaranteed already.
Okay.
I think we should be finishing third because we need to be progressing. If we're not going to win anything, at least it means some sort of improvement.
So who are the two finishing above us? I'm guessing Man City.
Arsenal.
Probably Liverpool.
No,
I've got Arsenal as fourth. So
Liverpool, guys. Liverpool. This is my hot take. Liverpool are not finishing in the top four this season. They are awful.
I agree.
They are awful. Defensively, Van Dijk, I think, honestly, he's finished. I've watched now 5-6 games with him. He's slow. He looks like he's doubting himself. Matip 2 is 33. And let's not even delve into Trent's defending, because honestly, I play with a few guys here that are amateurs that probably defend better than him. So for me, Liverpool won't finish. I think the table, realistically, if we're talking about Spurs reaching their potential this year, I think it should be first Man City, second Spurs. I think Arsenal will come third if Spurs
Chelsea
reach their
fourth.
Potential. And then fourth is the tricky one, because I'm not convinced by Chelsea, nor am I convinced by Man U.
So let's talk about that then, guys. So look, the Liverpool one's interesting. I didn't think they'd be as close to City as last season, but I didn't see them dropping off a cliff like this. I'm also old and ugly enough to know that writing teams off with that many good players so soon can come back to bite you in the arse, right? So let's look at it like this. Liverpool have got 2 games in hand. If they win those 2 games in hand, just if then they go 4 points behind us with 30. Sorry, what is there left? 29 games left of the season. Chelsea are 4 points behind us with a game in hand and look like they're in good form. I think they will finish second. I think they will. I think their squad is
second.
Because their squad is so much better than everyone else's other than
Savva. They have no striker.
Well, they do, don't they? They've got Aubameyang.
Trust me, he's not. He's in a team that lacks creativity, which they do. He was not good.
Do they? Right.
They do.
Let's be real. If we're talking about Chelsea's squad, have a look at the depth they've got in that squad. They've got Aubameyang. They've got Broja. Sterling will score goals. Mount will chip in with 10 in the season.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
But okay. I don't know if you speak to Chelsea fans, where I'm from in Bulgaria, there's a lot. I have a few friends. Mason Mount, none of the Chelsea fans like him because Mason Mount will play one good game and then you have 4 or 5 shit ones. And then if you're talking about depth, right? Their depth is Kai Havertz, who for me is the biggest flop in terms of a transfer, maybe since
Havertz is poor.
Yeah, Havertz is awful. He misses a ton of chances.
He's not awful. I think we're judging him against goal scoring numbers when that's
his goal scoring numbers are a joke. Savva. He has I think in 70.
Stefan, hang on. You got to let me finish my point before you say that.
Sorry.
Look, Kai Havertz is not a natural goal scorer. If you watch Kai Havertz, he's a very different type of player, isn't he? He's like a kind of false 9 that links up play, but
he doesn't do anything well.
Well, listen. All I know is I'm looking at Chelsea now, right? They've got a manager in there that's getting them to play. They've got a very deep squad. Look at the options they've got in midfield and at the back, and I think they will beat. Like what I say about Arsenal and Spurs, they will beat the rest.
But Savva,
they will beat the rest.
In my opinion, Havertz,
honestly, can I just have my final rebuttal towards Chelsea? You think because they have a bunch of players that sound good that they're a good team? They're not. Conor Gallagher.
Whoa. No. Hang on. No, I've never said that. It's not about a bunch of players that sound good.
No. I
watched their game today against Wolves. I watched their game today against Wolves online.
3-0 flattered them. It was flattering.
No, it wasn't. Let's be really right. 3-0 flattered them, right?
It did.
They had 63% of the ball and 20 attempts at goal, yeah, and 7 on target. And you think 3-0 flattered them?
Honestly, yes, but their XG was 1.2. So they might have had
I don't
shots.
care about it. Listen, I'm going to be really honest. I don't give a flying monkeys about XG. They won the game. This whole XG thing, I don't know why this has crept into football, right? At the end of the day, Chelsea won 3-0. Since Potter's come in, they've not lost a game, right? They brought in Aubameyang, who has scored 2 or 3 goals already for them.
Dispatched a good AC Milan side as well.
They made them look very ordinary.
People problems, yeah.
Okay, yes, but in that same period, they should have lost to Salzburg at home. Salzburg should have won that game.
But they didn't.
In the game against Wolves, if Wolves were a bit more, let's say, better decision-making, in the first 30 minutes when it was 0-0 right before halftime, Wolves had better chances. Wolves had, I would say, although they didn't have as much of the ball, and they look like they're a team bereft of any confidence whatsoever. I just thought 3-0 was not. I thought it was more of a 1 or 2-0 score because the chances that they created We're not.
They were all over them. They were
okay. Okay, Savva.
Listen, but this is.
I'll let you have that one. Okay,
Stefan.
I'll say they were. I'll say they were.
Stefan.
But yeah,
Stefan, this isn't about one game. My point is that when you look at Chelsea's squad, the fact now that they've just gone out and they're going to get Nkunku as well, right? When you look at what Chelsea do, like when you look at look, I'll tell you what, let's have a look at their options just in midfield alone. They've got Ziyech.
Go, tell me their options.
Okay, I am. They've got Zakaria, right? Mason Mount.
Zakaria isn't even one.
No, this is silly. This is silly now. He's not shit. Zakaria, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who's a very good footballer, Mateo Kovacic, Kante, Jorginho, Conor Gallagher. They've got the young guy they just signed from Aston Villa.
Okay, they've got who couldn't get a game at Aston Villa.
He's a kid. Okay. Yeah, he's a kid. He's a kid. I'm not saying he's the main man. He's a kid.
Okay.
Right? All I know is if Chelsea win their game in hand, I'm just finding out who it's against. If Chelsea win their game in hand,
Savva, it's Liverpool.
It's Aston Villa
at home. That's their game in hand.
Well, okay, but their next game is Villa. If they
Villa
win their
away,
game,
which is
hang
a
on,
difficult game.
You've got to let me finish, man. You've got to let me finish.
Yeah, sorry. My bad.
We're doing this thing that fans of clubs we can't seem to give any credit to other clubs. I said at the time, Kuba will back me up that I said this. The worst thing that happened was Thomas Tuchel getting sacked. Was the worst thing that happened because they've got a very good squad that weren't being utilised by Thomas Tuchel. Potter will go in there. He will have them organised. He will have them playing good football, and they've got very good players all over the park. I will sit here and say this now. If we finish above them, we've had a bloody good season because they're going to be right up there. Everyone's telling me they've had a poor start to the season. They're still fourth with a game in hand. So they can't be that bad, can they? They can't be that bad. But I mean, Kuba has what do you make of Chelsea?
Well, I think. Do you want to speak first? It's fine.
No, go on.
Yeah. So, like for me, like you said, Tuchel being sacked was the worst thing to happen because it clearly wasn't working.
Right.
I think Potter has improved them, but again, for me, it's like an unknown quantity over a longer period, right? So in the short term, because of the new manager bounce, he has, yeah. But there's still question marks on the jump from say Brighton to Chelsea for a manager like Potter, because I haven't seen that happen, successfully.
Yeah, of course.
Right, which is why I didn't say I'm so convinced they're going to be so good. But at the same time, you can't write them off completely because their squad is so good. It depends how Potter synchronizes with the squad. We just don't know what's going to happen for me.
I mean, you look, Chelsea are the ultimate club for being able to switch between a back four, wing backs. Their fullbacks can play as fullbacks, as wing backs. They've got good centre halves. They've got loads of players in central midfield. I'm telling you, honestly, we do this every year. I'm not saying you, Stefan, but like Spurs fans wrote them off. They win their game in hand. They're 1 point behind us after 9 games of the season.
No, I'm not writing them off, Savva. I just think you're overrating them because I think it comes from a Spurs perspective because you guys never beat Chelsea. So you kind of have this, I wouldn't call it inferiority complex with them. And you always expect them to, yes, you're right that there is no team better placed than Chelsea to change a manager and then succeed in their goals or even over succeed. But what I'm telling you is that if you look at their squad, the players might look flashy, but they're very average. Kante has been on a huge downturn of form for over a year.
I think it's the complete opposite. I don't think it's that they look flashy. I just think they've got a lot of experience, a lot of know-how. They've got multiple players that can play in multiple positions, and they're not losing games of football. They're winning every week at the moment. They're winning games. But I don't understand. Like I've seen someone here say Gallagher and Mount are average. I mean, Conor Gallagher, he's not an average footballer.
Conor Gallagher is average. He's very average.
I think Gallagher, he is. He's not.
He is. He's average because if you put him in a possession-based system, he is extremely average, Savva.
Yeah,
he
facts.
cannot. He has no awareness.
How can you possibly know that?
Because I watched him play against. I watched him play Leicester at home. I watched him play against us.
You know, he's
I watched
a young
him play
player.
numerous times. He's not good on the ball. He's great at running around.
He's an energy player, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's an energy player. Exactly.
I think we're writing off very good footballers very easily here.
No, we're not writing them off. They should get top 4 with that squad. But I just think you shouldn't be as scared of them as you not scared, but like you shouldn't value them as high as you do. Second, no.
Okay.
I can't.
So I look at this. Okay, let me ask you a question. Who's got the better squad, Arsenal or Chelsea?
On paper, Chelsea. But if
not
you're
on
talking
paper,
about who's got the better team,
they've got a better squad. No paper about it. They have a better squad than you.
As a team, Arsenal, 100% at the moment. As a functional system and team, Arsenal. As a squad in terms of depth, Chelsea. I'll give you that, Savva.
Yeah. Listen, we'll revisit this come the end of the season.
We will.
I see big teams written off all the time, and big teams cream rises to the top. And now they've got a very good manager. We'll see. But my point with all of this was Liverpool. If you look at the top 4, I think that could be the top 4. I'm not saying in this order, but I think that could be the top 4 unless Liverpool truly buck up their ideas. And I'm going to say this now, and this might sound really premature. If Liverpool lose tomorrow to Arsenal, I really can't see them. I can't see them getting top 4.
If we beat them, we'll be 14 points ahead of them.
I agree.
It will be and looking at Liverpool, if you look at older players, the players that they have replaced, kind of their great. So, for example, if you look at Naby Keita was supposed to be the replacement for Henderson and for arguably Wijnaldum, who left. They haven't replaced Wijnaldum, and Naby Keita is not at the same level. Henderson is old. Van Dijk is old. Hang
on. Okay. When we're saying old, are we really saying Virgil van Dijk is old?
Yeah, he's 32, and he looks like it now. He looks human now. If you watch him in the games,
I think Van Dijk is with the injury, plus his age, has affected him.
Guys, hang on. I feel like first of all, he's 31, just turned 31, right? For a centre back, that's not old. Second of all, how on earth can we say he's had a poor start to the season? Of course he has, but when we can say he's looking it, but again, a world-class centre-half that we're writing off so quickly after, 7 or 8 league games they played? 7?
The thing with Van Dijk is I feel like he had like an aura attached to him which made him seem almost better than he was, because a lot of the time he wasn't really tackling players. He was more just like jockeying them. And now that the aura's gone, it's hard to just bring that back again. That's what kind of made him so good. So he's still a world-class player, but it's going to be difficult for him to return to that level. That's what I think. No,
but Savva, haven't you seen? Did you watch him against Fulham and against Napoli? Mitrovic bullied him and the other guy from Napoli, the number 9.
Yes, but
again, he got bullied that game.
Okay, Romero got bullied by Mitrovic. Is Romero finished?
No, please don't put Romero in the same bracket as Van Dijk. I know Spurs fans really like to do that.
Who are these? One of these? That's not what I said. That is, I did not do that. I said Romero, who all Spurs fans talk about as being about to be this world-class centre-half, he got bullied by Mitrovic. The thing is, we're doing here what football fans do best. We take a snapshot. So we take 7 or 8 games. It's like the fans that are saying Son's finished. No, he's in bad form. But if Van Dijk's finished, is Son finished?
What I'd say about Van Dijk is, and it was already touched on, it's since the injury. For me, he hasn't looked the same player since he's come back.
But he was still very good last year.
Prime Van Dijk against Mitrovic. Van Dijk would have bullied Mitrovic, I believe.
No, but guys,
not in form, is he?
Also, I think
he's physically not there either.
Yeah, no, he looked slow. No, sorry, I forgot the worst game he had this season against Man United. He was awful that game.
He's in bad form, yeah. We're saying this year, yes, he's in bad form. But we seem very good. Spurs and Arsenal fans, we're writing off all these players that have won things, all these top pros, all these big clubs. We're writing them all off like we've got a right to do it. And when these clubs finish above us, when these players come back to form, like I saw today, people were debating, is Mo Salah finished? Because he's had a difficult start to the season. It's like, come on, man. It's like, it's a small period of time. People do it as well about rating players the other way. A player has 3 or 4 good games and they're world class.
But
right?
but Savva, I just have one question for you. Do you look, when you watch Liverpool these last 10 games, are they the same team as they were last year? Do you feel like that?
No, they're not. Absolutely, they're not. And they've got bits to do. But do you know what? I think we had this chat the other day on the show. The difference with Liverpool is they might drop down this year for a little bit. Chelsea do it every now and then. These teams, they're up there, they're up there, they're up there. They fall away for a year, go and buy loads of quality players, boom, they go straight back up. And that's the difference. Liverpool will go and buy a Milinkovic-Savic, a Bellingham, someone like that. And all of a sudden, things will click and change.
Even Van Dijk, if the injury is to what the cause of the poor form is, and it continues, they'll go and replace him. They're not bothered about that.
That's the difference with these teams. So that's why when people say to me, "Oh my God, look how much better we are than Liverpool," it's like, okay, well, slow down. We're better than them at this moment in time in league position, but I like the bigger picture in football, and a lot of fans, we don't seem to like bigger picture. It's all very here now, immediate. I just don't think it's going to be as clear cut as Chelsea won't do this, Liverpool won't do that.
No, but I agree. Making early season predictions difficult because you never know. Because for Arsenal, like if you ask me, are we going to be? I honestly think if Thomas Partey stays fit, we'll be top 3. If he doesn't, then maybe not. But I think that's the same with every team. If Kane gets a long-term injury, then everything changes. So I agree with you, Savva, that you shouldn't make early season predictions. However, for me, when you speak about Chelsea and Liverpool, it's not that I'm overconfident. It's just I look at their teams. I'm looking at objective. The signings that Liverpool have made to replace the players. Luis Diaz is nowhere near Mane's level. Nowhere near. He's not as good. Darwin Núñez is also, I know it's his first 3 months, but he doesn't, it's going to take him time. But right now, if we're talking about in the near future, I don't think Darwin Núñez can be as good as Sadio Mane not even Sadio Mane, as good as Roberto Firmino was for them maybe 2-3 years ago.
But again,
so that's why I think they're gonna drop off this year. That's the main, and because a lot of their other key players like Henderson, like Thiago, one, they're injury prone, and two, they're just getting old. They don't have the legs as much to run as much anymore. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's a fact of life.
The thing is as well, the difference is, like when we're saying, oh, Diaz isn't Mane, no, they're different players. So we're always assuming that this player's been bought in as a like-for-like replacement. I don't think it is that at all. I think Klopp's reinventing what he wants. Everyone's written off Darwin Núñez. I think he's played like 3 games in the Premier League. It's madness. He's played like 3 games in the Premier League and he's being written off. At least we've got to give a player a year and then we write them off. A year and a half. Excuse me. But you're doing it again. It's like, it's right now. Darwin Núñez, he's not going to be good. It's like, whoa, just we've got to put the halt on it and at least let these players play. Now, Darwin Núñez has played. Look, what's Darwin Núñez done? And by the way, this isn't me saying he's going to be class. This is me saying it remains to be seen. Darwin Núñez has played 4 Premier League games and got 3 goal contributions. Right? That's not terrible. That's not terrible by any stretch of the imagination. And he's playing in a team that is not playing well. All of a sudden, if Liverpool went on a 10-game winning run and Núñez scored 7 or 8 goals, what would we say then?
But Savva, they're not playing well because of the system, because of the players that are within the system. So Darwin Núñez, Luis, they're not as effective as Mane and Firmino were 2-3 years ago. That's why. So
you're telling me the team that nearly won a quad last year, and Kuban has, feel free to join in, a team that nearly won a quad, that got to both finals, all 3 cup finals, lost 1-0 to Madrid, lost the Premier League title in the last 10 minutes of the season, and one player leaves, and all of a sudden their players aren't good enough for this system that Klopp wants to play.
No,
that's what you said. You said the players aren't.
You're taking my words and making it as if I'm not saying they're not as good. I'm saying that they're just simply not at the level that Sadio Mane, especially Sadio Mane, who for me was Liverpool's best player. I know it's maybe a lot of people say, but I think Sadio Mane was their most important and best player. They're just not at that same level. Luis Diaz is also a little bit, if you watch him, he's hit and miss. He runs around like a headless chicken a lot sometimes. Sometimes he's but he's not as effective. Darwin Núñez, the role that Darwin Núñez is supposed to play, he's supposed to replace Firmino, who's leaving next season. Is he as effective as Firmino currently at the moment? Could he be? Yes, but he's not at the moment.
Who said he's there to replace Firmino? You've made that up. No one's ever said that. Bobby Firmino.
No, it's obvious. It's obvious what.
No, it's not obvious. You're making that up. We don't know. They're different players.
Okay.
They're completely different players, aren't they? Darwin Núñez is an out-and-out number 9. He's a centre forward.
He's not an out-and-out number 9 because at Benfica he played a lot of the time on the left wing. He's super versatile. He moves around. That's why Klopp really liked him. Like Firmino did. He's everywhere.
Okay, look, let's change the subject up. All I'm hearing is everyone. You sound like an Arsenal version of the Spurs fans that just write everyone off so quickly, and then when those teams win things inevitably, you look silly at the end of the season. I'm not saying Liverpool are going to win anything.
I thought there were some valid points among that.
I do, but it's so early, Kuva. It's like early.
I want to say something on Núñez though, because for me, from what I've seen of him, he doesn't suit Liverpool's system. They're trying to accommodate him, and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
I'm not saying he's a bad player. He will score goals.
Yeah, but have you ever thought maybe trying to change it up? If you're looking now, he's brought in like Carvalho as a little playmaker that he'll bed into the team. Harvey Elliott's getting more games. Yeah, as well. Have you ever thought that Diaz is different to Mane? We're all going Diaz versus Mane, very different footballers. Diaz has had a very good start to his career, by the way, if you look at his goals and assists. But again, he's being written off because he's not Mane. And, okay, Darwin Núñez is 100 million. We expect more. He's had 4 games in the Premier League. It's like, surely you can't write players off after 4 games.
No, but I think
we're not writing them off, Savva. Like you're saying that I'm not. I'm just saying they're currently not at the level that Liverpool, in order to reach that level that you said, the quadruple last season, they're simply not currently. They could be in the next 2 or 3 months. Don't get me wrong, but they're not. They're just not. If you watch them play, you talk about Harvey Elliott. All the players that have left Liverpool, the ones that have stayed, are just not at the same level. Wijnaldum, who was great going forward and defensively,
I agree
Harvey
with
Elliott could replace his output a little bit, but defensively, Harvey Elliott is all over the place. That's why when Harvey Elliott plays, if you notice, defensively, Liverpool, their defenders especially get exposed because they're poor covering them, especially Trent. But when, let's say, he played 4-2-3-1 against Rangers with, I think it was with Thiago and Henderson, in order to provide more cover for the Liverpool defenders. So for me, the players that have left Liverpool, the ones that have come in order to replace them, at the moment are not as good. And I know that it's very hard to replace a title-winning team and a Champions-winning team. I'm just saying that currently at the moment, I'm quite confident, especially tomorrow. I really think we're going to beat them, especially if they play with Trent at right back. Martinelli against Trent. He should have him on toast the whole game like he did last year. So I'm confident. I'm confident if we beat them tomorrow that I think it would be a disgrace if Arsenal are 14 points ahead of them and they finish ahead of us. That for me is a choke. So
no, I agree.
I think also if you do have that £100 million price tag on you, whether it's fair or not, that expectation is put on you.
But after 4 games of which he only started 2.
It goes with the price tag.
No, it doesn't. That's nonsense.
The expectation is there, mate.
No, not. He started 2.
We're talking about from fans, yeah.
Pardon?
We're talking about from the fans, yeah. Expectation from the fans. You see £100 million price tag player coming.
That's just,
you expect them to be great, don't you?
No, What, after 2 starts?
Yeah.
I mean,
when it's that kind of money, I think. Yeah. Well, what about if he came in on 15 million quid? Wouldn't be having the conversation, would we?
Well, I don't think it matters what the price tag is for any player. You can't write players off after they've made 2 starts and 2 sub appearances.
I didn't say it was fair, mate. I'm just saying that does happen. That is just if that's the world we live in, it's mental. In that case, if that's the case, then Richarlison is absolutely shit. Never heard the phrase "you get what you buy, you get what you paid for."
Yeah, exactly.
No,
that one.
It's the same what Kuba was saying. I'll give you guys an example. Ben White has been one of our best players. He's been I don't know how he's not in the England team, but because he was 50 million pounds, everybody is way harsher on Ben White than on, let's say, Tomiyasu, for example. Even though Ben White has displaced Tomiyasu, who's played every time he's played really well, and he's played amazing against Spurs. I thought he was one of our best players. He's been one of our best players this year. But because he's 50 million, Savva, people are much harsher. That's why they're, let's say, more reactionary with Darwin Núñez than what's his name? Their left back.
How long's Ben White been at Arsenal?
Over a year.
Right. Darwin Núñez has started 2 Premier League games. 2. This is mental, right? And someone said here he scored 3 goals in 4 games. I'm guessing that's from the 4 games he started, if we're including cup competitions or whatever. It's absolutely mental that after we're saying, oh, he's 100 million, he's got to hit the ground running, he's got to score every week in, week out, and he's made 4 appearances.
It's not fair, is it? But it does happen.
But it's not that.
I agree with Kuba, to be honest.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but it's still there.
Okay, Savva, how long would you give? Let's be honest. If you're paying 100 million for a player, you expect there to be almost immediate impact. How long would you give 100 million? He scored
3 goals in 4 starts.
Okay,
but is that
okay? I know he's got 3 goals in 4 starts.
Hang on. There we go. Somebody said, "How dare Núñez have a 0.75 goal return? What an awful player he is." Right.
We're not saying he's awful. I'm not saying he's awful.
No. Hang on. Let me finish.
Ronan's comment.
I'm not saying that. This person said about he's being tongue in cheek. What an awful player he is. If you score 3 and 4, yeah, is that not a great return?
Use the same logic you used a minute ago. Then it's not long enough to tell, is it?
Yeah.
That's my whole point.
The one thing that isn't going to change is the price tag, though.
No, but it's also looking at it from the eye test. For example, Kane's goal scoring record is excellent this season, but Kane is nowhere near the level that he was the last few years. Let's be honest, he hasn't been playing. He's scoring goals, but he's not playing in the same high level.
Because he's just joined a new team. It's like I tell you what, this is madness. This is absolutely madness. Look at last year.
Same thing last season.
But I said the same thing last season, Kuva. Remember, I had the row with Stell, and I said, "You watch Grealish next year." And Grealish, when he's playing this year, looks excellent.
And I agreed with you. And I said it's unfair, but you can't deny that the expectation is there, mate.
Yeah, from silly fans, it's so silly. It's like if on that. Okay, so we're saying then Richarlison are we saying Richarlison's a huge flop?
No.
By this metric that apparently people have to hit the ground running because of price tags.
Some people will be saying that.
Right. So how many games has Richarlison played for Spurs? 11.
I think he's played 10 games. I think he has 2 goals and 1 assist, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
I think 2, 3
He's played in 8 Premier League games out of our 9, and in all 3 Champions League games.
So yeah, I was close then.
So from his 11 games, he scored in 1 game. 1 game.
Who was it against? Was it against? Oh, it was
Marseille,
right? He scored 2 goals, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but again, this isn't true. AM, this isn't true. You're saying Klopp bought Nunes as a starter. Klopp's got 4 or 5 that he can rotate. If he was bought as a starter, he'd start every single game. This is why the C word, context. You have to apply context to everything.
I was thinking of a different one.
Yeah, I know.
But Savva, none of us are saying Nunes is. We're just saying that currently he's not. I know it's very early, but in the games that he's played, including if you watch him in the Champions League, he's not showing the same level that Firmino is currently. He could show it in a few months, I'm saying, but currently he's not clicking in that team, which is true.
I agree, and you know why? When you don't get a run of games, it's pretty difficult to click, isn't it?
I don't think he suits the system Liverpool play personally.
The style of play. I agree with that.
Unless you play a possession-based game, and Liverpool have been playing a counter-attacking game for the past 4 or 5 years, it's totally different.
But he's also not good in a possession-based game because his first touch, let's be honest, is not very good.
Great, I know, but
Liverpool aren't really a possession-based team.
Yeah, they're counter.
I'm trying to say Nunes is more suited in a possession-based style.
Listen, we'll again another one we'll revisit when he's had longer than.
He's a strange sort of player, though, isn't he? Because even when he is at his best sort of peaks of form, he does things where you think, Christ, this bloke should be a free transfer. And then you pull out a couple of things you think, wow, he's 150 million worth.
No, there are also clips on Twitter of him. Have you guys seen it? Training clips, some awful shots that he's done.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Listen, I just think, listen, I'm not going to be knee jerk. I think I've seen so many players written off. Look how many people wrote off Haaland in the summer, right? People write off players when they've had. I'd love to know how many minutes he's had in the Premier League. I reckon it must be about 220 minutes or something like that, if anyone can find out. And already we're talking about the level he's playing at. It's like it's truly baffling.
But also people, if you look at Arsenal, people wrote off Gabriel Jesus. Remember, they said that he's just a bench warmer. He doesn't score enough goals.
Course. And they were ridiculous as well. This is what I mean.
Were they though? Because if you looked at his stats, I'll be honest, when we signed him, I wasn't convinced either, Savva.
But when you look at his stats, he actually scored a lot of goals through not starting.
No, that's not true. He scored only one season did he score more than 15 goals. Only one in the last 5 years. Okay. Which, of course, you can say that's because he played most of the time.
I think we have to look at it. I think we have to look at it as a far more basic level. There is you're signing them from Man City. Do Manchester City sign bad players?
No.
Right. Let's have a look. So I've just been told that he didn't score a lot of goals for Man City. You just told me unequivocally that's not true. Right? In just over 200 games, he got 95 goals. For a bloke that didn't start week in, week out and played a lot of his time out on the right or the left, that's a bloody good goal return. That's a very good goal return.
Okay, but is it a goal return that you think is going to take you to the next level, guys?
Yes,
less than one goal every 2 games.
Yes, because you didn't have a striker.
The other option was Nketiah.
Yes.
Nketiah, everybody ridicules him. Nketiah has a much better goal scoring record than Gabriel Jesus. Even now, Nketiah in the last 15 games starts, which includes, I think, 10 Premier League games, has 12 goals.
This always brings me back to my all-time favourite comparison. Would you buy a striker that scored 23 goals in 114 games?
I know where you're going with this.
Who's this? Who's this? Cool?
Alan Shearer at Southampton.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Really? That was his goal scoring record?
Funnily enough, it's also Thierry Henry's figures before Arsenal got him.
Oh,
that's
really?
true, yeah, because Henry played on the wing for Juve.
But left wing, didn't he?
So the key is you look at the player on the whole and see what he can offer to the team. It's not just about those stats, is it?
Ooh, I agree with that one.
Oh, we won't go back to it, but by the way, look at that. 177 Premier League minutes. Just saying, that's less than 2 games of football. Anyway, the Jesus, I mean, Kuva, you'll back me up on this. You know, all summer I said I would absolutely take Jesus over Richarlison all day, every day. Much better footballer, much better versatility. All-round game is much better. And let's be fair.
And cheaper.
But let's be fair. this is what I said all summer when people were talking about Zinchenko being poor and, Zinchenko and Jesus are Man City rejects. Pep Guardiola does not keep you in his squad for 6 to 7 seasons if you aren't good. If he doesn't trust you, look at Leroy Sané, in, out. Yeah. Look at not Pau Torres, Ferran Torres, in, out. Right. Yeah. If he doesn't rate you, you go. And that's what made me laugh.
Also, look at the way they sign those players. Arsenal go in to get Jesus and Zinchenko playing for Pep. What does Arteta's way of playing? It's a variation of what Pep plays. Where do you go for players like that? Go to Pep's team. What do we do?
Yeah, that's
go it. Go to Fat Frank for his team. Yeah.
Just quickly, John, we're 2 hours in. We spent the first hour and a half talking about the Brighton Spurs game, and now we're talking about who's going to finish where in the league. And it's okay to look at other clubs and talk about other players, right? It's okay. If you don't like it, then I don't know what to say. There's only so much we can say about the game today. We did an hour and a half on it. This is an interesting one. Let's talk about Richarlison then. What is the remit for Richarlison this season? Because he's playing quite a lot. He's played quite a lot of minutes. He doesn't strike me as the reason he was bought. Everyone told me the reason he was bought over other forwards was because of that versatility to be able to play across that front three. Now that he is playing across the front three, all I'm hearing is, no. To get the best out of Richarlison, you're playing through the middle as a central striker. So let me start with you, Haz. What is Richarlison's remit this year? What's a good year for him? And does he need to be central? Is that where we will see the best of him?
So for me, his versatility is an advantage that he can play all 3 positions, but it doesn't mean that if he plays on the right, he's going to perform as well as if he plays on the left or in the middle, right? For me, I'd like to see him on the left or in the middle, ideally. I think on the right, he's kind of wasted. And for me, a good season for him will be 10 Premier League goals.
10 Premier League goals?
Yeah.
Do you think he's
going to make a difference?
For 60 million, only 10 Premier League goals?
This is my point. For 60 million pounds, 10 Premier League goals, that's...
Plus maybe like 5 or 6 across like the cups or something like that.
Okay, so if we're saying 16 goals in all competitions,
something like that,
Kuba, it is 16 goals in all competitions. First of all, is it achievable for Richarlison? Second of all, is that acceptable at 60 million?
He's got goals in him. How many remains to be seen. Depends how we're going to play throughout the season. Is it acceptable for 60 million? It's the going price for forwards in this division at the moment. It remains to be seen. For me, it's when we say about versatility, for me, the most important bit about signing him was he can offer that role that Kane offers when Kane isn't playing. He has got the strength to hold the ball up and through the middle, which we wouldn't have otherwise. I would think Decky would be the closest we got to it otherwise.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think that is the important part. What he does as a bonus is he can fill in and do a job for you on those wide positions. I agree. He doesn't look too great on the right, but he does fill in, works his socks off, chases players down, offers a lot of energy. He can come off the bench when he needs to, change things up, put a bit of aggression, bit of shithousery, throwing himself around the area, really mess up the other team. He's not pretty to watch sometimes, but he's quite often effective. And he changes it up like no other player we got on the bench.
But guys, I just want to ask you, do those expectations of 10 Premier League goals, is that from the wings or through the middle?
That's what I'm saying, because he'll probably play all across the 3. So that's why I'm saying 10, because that would be a good return for him, I think.
For me, for that money, I think if he's playing more so on the wings, I think 12, 13 goals. Because Son, how many goals did Son score last year coming from the left wing?
You have to also take into consideration
23. Okay, so if Son scores 23, you paid 60 million. I'm going to go for 15. I want 15 goals.
When we say Son coming off the left, I think more and more and more over the years, he has found himself more in the central area because Kane drops deep and feeds him through. I feel like just because we start with Kane, Son, and then Kane drops deep and Son tends to be in the centre. I don't think it's a true reflection that he just stays left. But I get your point. I guess what I'm looking at is Richarlison worth the 60 million?
As Kuba said, it's the going rate for forwards. So it doesn't mean he's a top forward paying 60 million, but it's just the rate.
We needed a player like him. I mean, I remember the conversation we were having pre-season, Savva, and you were saying about, definitely go for Jesus. And I remember clearly saying I wanted both of them because we needed extra bodies up front. So I think that I don't blame him for, if he's not hit the ground scoring 8 goals in his first 10 games. It's okay. It's given him time. Same with Grealish. Same perhaps with Nunez.
Yeah, we'll see.
But again, it comes back to that price tag, doesn't it? If we'd picked him up on a free, nobody'd be questioning it.
No, of course. No, but that's my point. Is a player's price tag isn't always determined by, is never determined by them. And I think you were right, Cooper, bringing up the Grealish example. I remember saying at the time, I think it was Stella and I had the great big conversation about Jack Grealish, was what his expectation of Jack Grealish was as a football fan compared to what Pep expectation in year one, I think are two very different things. Yeah, we see players go to Man City and we expect, they're going to get 15 goals and 15 assists, but not everyone does at Man City because that's not how they play. They all get 7, 8, 9 between them. And then this year you'll have all of them on 7, 8, whatever, and Haaland on 723 or whatever he's going to end the season on. Just quickly, I missed this. I'm so sorry, Rooksy Pop. Sorry, mate. He said, hey, lads, hope you're good. Thought Spurs showed resilience today. Brighton lacked a bit of quality. Arsenal will beat Liverpool tomorrow, I think. Thank you so much for that, mate. Yes, we did show a lot of resilience. Guys, look, here we go. Here you go. If you say someone's name enough, they turn up. If you say their name enough, they turn up in your stream. They don't even have their camera on because he's probably eating.
Could be an imposter.
It could be an imposter. Stel?
Hello.
An imposter.
That's your normal voice. I don't know why.
No, I've got guests round, so I've just literally disappeared for 15 minutes just so I can talk because I'm cracking up. I just need to talk Tottenham. It's in the blood.
Go on, mate. The floor is yours. What do you want to say?
Separate Beetlejuice.
No, I think it was a typical Spurs performance. We got a result. It wasn't great to watch. There was about a 10-15 minute period where it looked a little bit good. But overall, I think a draw would have been fair. But we've got another clean sheet. We've defended well and we've rode a little bit of luck, I guess. Brighton had some good shots that just fizzled past the post. But overall, we weren't massively troubled for a team that doesn't have as much possession as the opposition. You know what? I think this is just how it's going to be now. This is how it's going to be until we get some quality players and then see what Conte does with them. But, I'm not expecting fireworks.
Mm-hmm. Did you think, I mean, we certainly started the game a lot sharper still than we have most games. And I know obviously we're in the same WhatsApp group, so I know you probably disagree with this, but I really do think it was down to having the 3 men in midfield. What do you think? I know his answer.
It's hard to say, Savva, because against Frankfurt, I thought we did really well in the first half, and we played 3-4-3. So it's hard to say. But what I will say is we definitely were more secure in the midfield, no doubt. There's no doubt about that. But I do feel that it puts more emphasis on the wide areas to create, and I just think they're both crap. Doherty and Cesc. Cesc had a better second half, but still, it's just not good enough, is it? It's not not clinical. It's not creative. It's not something that gets you out of your seat, thinking, "Go on." It's just not exciting.
Yeah. No. You're right. Listen, I think. Look, you know my opinion on the football we play. I just feel that I get your point. Like losing one of the three forwards, for me, I think is a worthy sacrifice in certain games. I'm not saying I would play 3-5-2 every game. I think at home against weaker teams, we shouldn't need to pack the midfield. But don't you think it's necessary when we're playing possession-based teams like Arsenal, Man City, like Brighton, that we do that still? Don't you think it's important that we get the bodies in there?
Yeah, I think there's an argument to be had that we can't be getting overrun against teams that play free in the middle. We can't just let them run right in the middle. So you have a point, man. You do have a point. I just feel though it's just a player issue for me. Like Bissouma came in today, and I'm gonna say exactly as it is. He did nothing different to what Højbjerg or Bentancur do, other than I don't remember him losing possession of the ball. His passing was quick, and he always made the basic but the right choice, and he kept possession for us. That's the one thing Bissouma did really well today. He kept possession of the ball. But other than that, did he create? Did he get us going forward? Did he galvanize us? Not really. It was just another variation of Bentancur or Højbjerg. We are crying out for a star player in the middle of the park. Crying out for it.
A Milenkovic Savic.
Who's going to Liverpool? Yeah.
Madison.
No, listen. I hear you. I think
Madison. Madison. Yeah, why not?
The thing for me is having the three in the middle, and Kuva has. I'll bring you in here on this. Having the three in the middle, I don't think at all any one of them that we put in the middle will have that creativity. Like Still said, none of them are get the ball, look up, forward immediately, and quickly release passes.
And I think the alternatives as well. Skip and Pablo Sarr.
Yeah,
the only difference I saw today, though, guys, was that Bentancur seemed to play a bit further forward.
Yeah, he did. I thought he did push forward a tiny bit more. I just don't know if he's got the legs to.
Yeah. He seemed to play a bit more adventurous.
We saw that against Leicester, didn't we?
Yeah. Went to 3-5-2 again.
Yeah, but Hazard, other than that rasping shot he had, where the goalie made a really good save, what did he actually accomplish by being a bit more forward for us? Like, he didn't create anything. This is my issue with Spurs at the moment. I don't think whatever tactic we play, we've got creativity anywhere across the midfield or wide areas. We just look lost in that. We just look lost for ideas.
I mean, doesn't this beg the question then? Like, if we were to play a 3-5-2, why can't we sign a James Maddison and he be the third player in midfield whose job is to go and join in? Why would we not do that? Why can't we?
Levy. Sorry.
Is it Levy? Would Conte want him?
I think it might be down to Conte this one. I think there might be some truth in it. He didn't fancy him because we know Conte likes a really hard-working, powerful sort of player. Milinkovic-Savic does fit that. Maddison, he's more of a soft touch, isn't he? Creative sort of player. But then again, Conte did use Eriksen well.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing for me. This is the big question now, is if, like rumoured, that Maddison was offered and Conte turned him down, that worries me greatly because I truly believe, here you go, here's one that's going to shock you. I believe if we added James Maddison to our team, I think we would sew up second place easily. I think goals, assists, set pieces, creativity, I think he'd be a fan's favourite. I think the fans would love him. If Conte did turn him down,
I'd actually love it. Yeah,
that's madness, right?
I think Conte does want that player because, from the sounds of it, you never know what's true. We did want Zaniolo. Zaniolo was a player that we did want, and he is an attacking midfielder. I think he's looking for a player that's more versatile. I think he wants someone that can play across the front three and attacking mid. I think he wants someone that can do a bit of both. Yeah. I don't think he just wants.
Don't we need a specialist though?
Yeah.
Isn't that the problem, that we've got a lot of players at the moment that you go, right, well, they can play there, they can play there, they can play there, but none of them are that creative output that we're crying out for. And that's why Kane comes so deep to try and do it.
Yeah.
Do you know, Savva, I've been saying it for the past 2 weeks. I don't know what the plan is with Spurs. Is it long term? Is it short term? Is it Project Youth? Is it Project Experience? Is it waiting for this big summer that isn't actually the one that just happened, but the one coming next summer? Is it Conte going to be here for 3-4 years and do a project? Is he here until the summer when he fucks off and then the actual long-term plan comes in? I have no idea the direction that Spurs are trying to go in. I don't see the vision. I tried to figure it out, but it just doesn't make sense to me. But whilst
you can group it all together, call it Project Wing It.
That's been the project for the last 22 years, Cougar. But no, Stell is right. Whilst we buy some good players every now and then, I couldn't look at any of the last 3 windows and go, I see what the plan is for 2 years' time. Do you know what I mean? I don't see that there's a system. I don't see that we're buying the right players for a plan. Is that harsh, Haz? Can you see a plan?
No. Also, some of the transfer kind of shows that with signing someone like Jed Spence.
Right, yeah.
And then this whole Basuma thing, some people believe Conte didn't want him, so there's a bit of question marks with that one. And then you got Destiny signed for the future. Is Conte still going to be here when he comes back?
exactly.
It's just a mess, really. If we'd signed all these players who were say 25 plus, right, who would just get into at least the squad, right, maybe not starting all of them, then I'd be like, oh, they're fully back in Conte in terms of a short-term project or whatever you want to call it, right here, right now. But because our windows are always a mess, in terms you get a few youngsters, you had the random 33-year-old with Perisic, and then you had some players in the middle, and then some got loaned out, and then there was a rumor that Spence refused to go out on loan. By the way, I don't know if you heard that. But it's just a mess.
Then you get this, guys. You get sorry, not that. Sorry, no, not you. We get third without a plan. Not too bad. For me, I'm not so bothered about where we are in the league right now. I look at the bigger picture. And what we were talking about earlier, Cougar, before the others joined, was, great that we're third in the league. But again, as a football fan, this can't be the plan can't be to play this way for a whole season, for next season. So when we're talking about no plan, for me, it's more about in this summer, I would have liked to have seen, even if we had got just 3 in, but 3 players that were quality footballers that went straight into the team, and you go, I see what we're doing here. And then you get another quality one in January, and then your next 2 next summer. But it just felt like it was a lot of volume. And let's be fair, we're not third in the league because of any of our new signings. I don't care what anyone says. We're third in the league again because Kane will always score goals. Sorry, for me, that I don't see that we're third in the league because of any signing we made. I'm only going to have 5 more minutes, but still, are we third because of any of the signings you made? Has anyone really ripped up the trees? And
are we third because of the signings? I think yes and no. No, they haven't changed the way we play one bit or added anything wow. But yes, where Kulusevski's injured, we now do have a Richarlison that comes in. If we want to go to free midfield, we do have a Basuma. So we do have more options. But you're right. It's quantity over quality. And that's been Levy's blueprint for 22 years, man. Let's have it right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just before I come to you, Kuva, to wrap things up, just because I've been streaming now on and off for about 4.5 hours.
Lightweight.
I know. So bad. In terms of, I'm getting loads of comments in the chat now, like, oh, we're third, let Conte work. No one's saying he's not. My issue isn't that Conte can work, but can he do much more with these players is my question.
I don't think he can do much more with what he's got. If I'm being honest with you,
can
we're not going to get this. We're not going to get this
evolving?
pretty football with this group of players We're not going to get this dominant football with this group of players because we just don't have possession-based players. Like you talk about this star in the middle of the park, we don't have someone like that to control the game. So it's just going to be like this. I think, like Stel said, for the rest of the season, we're going to like grind out results and stuff like that. Also, I just want you to bring up a comment. Do you see that Hope Gaming comment about Bastoni and Zaniolo?
So where is it?
944.
Hope Gaming, Kulu.
944. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, see,
delusion of these fans. I just don't understand.
I mean, look, if Bastoni is that good, I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying if he's that good and if he goes available on the market, I fail to believe that we are going to be the only club that go in for him. And then the moment it turns into a bidding war, and the moment it turns into, do you want to come and play at Spurs who don't ever win anything on 200 grand a week, or do you want to go and play for Real Madrid, Man City, Liverpool on 400 grand a week? I can't see him signing. And Zaniolo for me is a good squad player, but I don't think he does enough to change the style. He's not the bloke we need in the middle of the park. He's like Stel was saying about a technician.
Yeah, that's why we can't control the game. We don't have a technician in the middle.
That's this guy's the bane of my life. This H'er, let's block him.
Savva, can I say that the reason we got Longley is because he was dirt cheap. That is the main reason we got Longley. And whilst we are third and in that top four, it's almost impossible to have any argument about what Conte is doing. We can't argue it because if we get third this year, that is an improvement from last season, especially when you look at how bang average the summer transfer window was. And it was a bang average transfer window. So you can't argue the results. I've said this from day one. It's so hard to argue the results. But the proof in the pudding is going to be where we finish end of season, because that will prove if this is sustainable or not. Yeah, that's going to be the proof.
Did anyone see that?
9 games, right? There's nothing. The season's only just begun, really.
This comment made me laugh. I like this. Take Haaland out of City. What you mean, like last year when he didn't play for them and they had 99 points? Yes. One-man team. Sorry, go on, Haz.
Yeah, sorry. Did anyone see that comment by, I can't remember which journalist it was, saying that Spurs will only dip into the market if top four is like at a risk or something in January? Yeah. Like that's just
totally believe that.
It's just typical Tottenham.
Yeah.
So these people who believe that we're going to suddenly buy 2 quality players again, the only hope we have is if like.
I think we're actually stuck at this point now where it's caught up with us, and we now have to look at players going out before we sign anyone.
Yeah, this is the thing. This is, the big thing for me, Kuva, is when we're talking about next year and what will we bring in, and transfer. He needs more transfer windows. The difficulty is next year we're going to have all those players coming back. Right, all those players coming back, and we're going to have to get rid of them. So that for me is going to be the biggest job that Paratici's got, because as it showed this year, we didn't get any bidders that put in the right amount of money, right? And they're still Spurs players. So I feel like this is going to be a many windows thing. I've just seen Haaland's goal from today. It's going to be a tough summer. And again, forgetting that, it's still Daniel Levy buying the players, right?
Yep.
Right, guys. Listen, I do need to jump in just 2 minutes, but just quickly, what would constitute, Stel, for you? What would constitute a good window in January? What if we can only buy 2? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'll answer this and then I'll say goodnight because I've got to get back to my guests. But the 2 players, sorry guys, I just couldn't help it. I was just cracking up, not talking Tottenham.
Sorry, just quickly, Greg, none of that, mate. Don't come on my channel and tell people to support other clubs. Do not do that, or I will block you.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
I've been told to support at least 3 other clubs in the past 6 months.
I know. Yeah, it's
the 2 players I think we are craving out for is we've got to do something with that right side. It's almost redundant, but I don't think we will. The right side, and the other area I'd love to see us sort out is a creative midfielder. And I do think there are players out there that can come in for 20-25 million, like Hassan Ouar. He could do it. There's what's his face? There's a guy that plays for Atalanta. Forgot his name. I'm sure he's below 30 million. He could come in. We just need some kind of playmaker. So if I could pick 2 players, right wing back and a playmaker, and I've got to say good night.
Good night.
See you later, mate. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Just to round the shaft, has if you got 2 players not which players, what positions you buying in January?
I just completely agree with Stel. A cam and a right wing back. We need creativity and we need to sort out that right side. So it's pretty simple.
Okay, understood. Kuva?
Yeah, I agree. It's right wing back. Emerson's still at the club, so we've clearly got a massive problem there.
Yeah.
And creative midfielder, yeah, definitely. Or another spark, some sort of creative spark, whether he plays across the front 3 or an attacking midfielder, or it's a box-to-box midfielder that's really got a lot of goals in them. You know, a Yaya Toure type player.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, yeah. Yeah, in fact, Yaya Toure, that's
himself.
Yeah, just
Yaya. Okay, we're buying Yaya Toure.
Give him his boots. Other than that, nothing's going to make a big difference to the way we play. Yeah. It's a question of get more quality in the defence, make it a bit easier to see games out under contact. Yeah. So take your pick. Need all of it.
Yeah, lots to do. Just by the way, for everyone in the chat, that when we're having these discussions, right? It's how a YouTube channel works. We have to debate these things. We can't just say, "Oh, we're third, everything's great, don't worry." Everyone going, "Oh, we're third. What more do you want?" As I said, for me, the league position at the moment doesn't really mean anything because league positions move all season, right? We've had a very good start to the season results-wise. Of that, no one can argue. But it is a tough watch. So one comment I saw, Tommy has said, if it's an optic thing, isn't that just a loser mentality? Shouldn't it just be win at all costs, regardless if we like it or not? But the thing is, it's not win at all costs, Tommy, is it? That's the thing. When people keep saying this, look how this awful football, look how we got dominated by Sporting and lost. Look how we got
even better, you can simplify it. If it's only the winning that matters, why do you watch it?
Right. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. No,
I like to be tortured. Oh, that's how I watch
that's a great point. At the end of the day, as I've always said, right, I can only tell people what I like to watch. I can't make anyone else, and I don't want to make anyone else like what I like or not. If I rate a player, I don't care if you rate them. Do you know what I mean? Right? And it's the same with our football. People can go, "Oh, Savva, you're ungrateful." Savva, here's a few I've had this week, guys, in my YouTube comments section. All right? This week I've had, "You don't know ball," which is the standard line for the children these days. I've had, "Go and support Man City." Brilliant. I've had, "This is good football. It's just not the same as Pep's." Okay. "You're ungrateful." Right. "You're entitled." Really entitled. 1 trophy in 22 years.
Oh God, I hate that
really
one,
entitled as a fan. And if you don't like it, go and support another sport. Like that's the type of thing I get all week because I say I don't like the football. Guys, thank you so much. Haz, thanks for coming on. Good to see you as always, my man.
Yeah.
Kuva, much love. I'm guessing you're going over to Bob Spur, are you, Kuva?
Yeah, we're both
obviously.
Are you both going over there?
Can't wait to get out of this rubbish.
I need to get some food first. But yeah, I'll go over there.
Well, sod off then. See you later. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks for all the super chats. We've raised about 25 quid tonight for the British Heart Foundation. So thank you so much for that.
Big up everyone in chat, even when you don't agree.
Big up the chat.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about. Big up the respectful people in the chat.
And he was a decent gooner that came on as well, I thought.
Yeah, he was all right, actually.
Yeah, he was. He just didn't stop talking. But good guy. Listen, I've said time and time again, fans of any club can come on the channel. And what I don't like is in the chat, you see people going, "Get this gooner off," or "This Liverpool fan." Listen, keeps it interesting. different perspectives.
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually like that fact personally. You have someone else looking.
Yeah,
from the
I
outside
agree.
more- yeah.
We get Luan in every week. He's a Man United fan. We get
Wayne Holland. Wayne Holland.
Yeah, Wayne Holland's a Leicester fan.
Yeah.
We get what's his name? Is it Ronan? No, we get
was it the Liverpool fan?
the Liverpool fan. He comes in.
Who was?
Because I was on Nugent's channel the other day and we had all these different fans on. It was really interesting.
Yeah. Spice of life. I must go. I am starving. Much love. See you later. And
Take
we
care.
are out. As always, Enoch and Levy, get out of my club.
Levy out.
Levy out.